This is the Patriots Pregame Show, fueled by Duncan.
He's throwing it towards Thornton, left corner of the end zone, caught! Touchdown New England!
The Patriots Pregame Show is your source for all the news and information before every game.
He took it to the house! Again!
Here we
and
go!
The Patriots take the lead!
With Matt Smith, Mike Dussault, Paul Perillo, and Tamara Brown.
And the Patriots have won their 6th Super Bowl title.
Patriots Nation, welcome to the Patriots Pregame Show, fueled by Duncan.
Good Sunday morning, everybody, on November 10th, 2024, as it's the Patriots Pregame Social, fueled by Dunkin' Donuts. As we're getting ready to kick off, well, Week 10 has already kicked off across the pond, where the lucky Germans are getting a chance to watch the New York Football Giants against the Carolina Panthers. But we're here to talk about the New England Patriots going to the windy city of Chicago to take on the vaunted Chicago Bears. Always brings back memories of Super Bowl 20. We'll get to that a little bit later. Paul Perillo on my left, Mike Dussault, Tamara Brown on my right. Ladies and gentlemen, looking forward to a little game today. Are we looking at another potential winnable game for the Patriots, who could certainly use a win today?
I hope so. I mean, I think this game's going to be a reflection on the Patriots. I mean, it's going to be a reflection on Drake May. I mean, fair or not fair. Caleb Williams was the first overall pick. The Patriots got the third overall pick. I'm sure there's plenty of, people talking about who you might rather have. But, look, the Chicago Bears put a lot of talent, I think, around Caleb Williams, and it hasn't quite translated just yet. But I look to see the Patriots have a solid day today and show that, to play for Drake May a little bit and give him the support he needs, because this game will be a reflection. Afterwards, we'll be talking about how the two teams approach building around their rookie quarterbacks and what place those two teams are. So I just, we'll get into the keys in a second, but that's a little preview of what I'm thinking.
No, but don't you think they're playing for him already, Mike? Doesn't that last play
It doesn't look like it, Matt. It hasn't looked like it to me.
You don't think? Okay.
It looks like the same team that's kind of, struggling through ups and downs and inconsistencies. And, it's across the board to me. It's the coaching staff is, doesn't have these guys ready to play some weeks. They're having, ill-timed penalties still. Like, those things are still popping up. So they've got to start to button some of these things down. And I would just look to, some of the defense to step up, get some stops, give this kid some turnovers, some short fields to work off of, things they haven't really given him. He's had no run game to speak of. So, I love what Drake May has done. I feel encouraged about Drake May. I just need to see something else from the rest of the team.
Fair.
I like what Mike mentioned, his supporting cast, especially on offense. When I'm looking at it, it's like, why in Drake May's 4 starts, in 3 of them, he's been the leading rusher? That's unacceptable. And I understand for the first one, Ramondre Stevenson wasn't available, but Ramondre Stevenson has played the rest of them. So for Ramondre Stevenson, I need him to step up and have a good game today. And I know it's not all him. It's the offensive line, which I'm sure we're going to get into. It's been a mess. The starting lineup for the offensive line keeps changing, so it's hard to have continuity to have a good run game. But I can't have Drake May today be the leading rusher. I think they could really get ahead of the Bears today if they can wear them down with a good run game.
Yeah, I don't really look at it like a lot of other people with the quarterbacks. I think both teams are probably pretty happy with their picks, and I think Washington is probably really happy with theirs too. I mean, I think the really surprising thing to me about the draft is it almost never works out this way. It almost never works out that you have 3 quarterbacks taken in the first 3 picks, and even 10 weeks in, all 3 guys are probably like, I think we made the right call here. I think we have the right guy. So teams are in different stages. We talk about the weapons and stuff that Chicago has, and there's no question. That's the one big difference between what May is dealing with and what Williams is Williams has guys to throw to. That's it. Like, they have no semblance of pass protection at all.
Which might be worse today because 2 guys are out, correct?
Yeah, but both guys,
in theory,
both guys, I think, spend too much time, and they'll learn playing hero ball. The 2 quarterbacks extend plays. Tamara mentioned the leading rusher aspect for Drake May. That's not something that they want. That's by necessity. Like, they have no choice. If they won't move the ball if he doesn't run around making these kinds of plays. So I expect to see more of that. I expect him to be the leading rusher again today.
Ooh. And I mean, I'm with you 100%.
Matt took that one hard.
No, because I'm with Tamara on it. If that's the case, it's not a prescription. That's not a path to victory.
No, and it seems like they might. It seems like they might want to try to run the ball today. I mean, looking at some of the practice squad, additions, they they add another tight end, and Mitchell Wilcox. Maybe they want to play a little bit more two tight ends, with one of them being Wilcox, who's known as more of a blocker than Hooper or Henry. Chicago hasn't been great against the run, but I need to see. I'm like Mike. I need to see that before I assume it's going to happen.
Because it hasn't happened in so long. And I guess since we're talking about it, let's at least throw it out there. Are we under any illusions that Michael Onwenu's going to be playing left guard today?
I mean, we saw some of it this week in practice. I would hope that he's back on the right side. I think everybody reacted similarly when they saw that continued juggling. We've heard a lot about we just want to get continuity and have the same guys out there, and it seems like they're finally able to do that, and all of a sudden then they tack, perhaps being forced to do so by some of the performances. I mean, I think they want Layden Robinson to be in there and to develop into a starting guard for them. And it seems like they're trying to force that kind of to happen a little bit to get him in there as much as possible to get him. So we'll see how it all shakes out today. But I think we all agree, and we've said this for the last 2-3 years. I think the best spot for Michael Onwenu is at right guard, and I wish we could just get him to stay there and play solid. And it doesn't sound like you're asking a lot from a guy that you gave a lot of money to that last offseason. But that's where we're at with a lot of the team, and I'd put him as part of this focus of supporting Drake May. You are a piece that we want to build around for the future. Everyone believes that Michael Onwenu is a good right guard. We need him to be good. We need him to be solid. We need him to be leading the way for this offensive line that desperately needs leadership.
All right, Mike, I'm going to write this down because I want to come back to this because I think you bring up a good point. So where does the rubber meet the road on Layden Wallace and develop, or Michael Onwenu in continuity?
Yeah.
That's a big show tease. We're going to get to that a little later on. But first, Matt, let's hit the keys of the game, please. And I don't think that's one of them.
You've waited all week for it.
The whole team's in the locker room right now just listening to this, waiting to hear what you're going to say.
Here are the Patriots pregame socials, keys to the game.
All right, key time, and I'm going to go last, Paul. How about that? You can go first.
Well, to me, this is all about taking advantage of that terrible offensive line that Chicago has, and that's been the difference for Caleb Williams. When he has some time, you've seen a lot of progress from him, from the first game of the year on through. But too often he does not have any time, and I think that's the key today for New England's defense. Get some pressure on him. They do have some quality wide receivers with DJ Moore and Keenan Allen and the rookie Rome Odunze. So that will be a lot for the secondary to handle if Williams has time to find the matchups that he wants. So to me, priority number one to win the game is to put some pressure on the rookie Caleb Williams, who has been prone to try to extend plays and do too much, and that's when he gets in trouble.
Tamara?
Well, my key is a copy-paste of Paul's. Mine is work until the whistle. And when I say that, I mean when we talked to Gerard Mayo this week, one of the biggest things he said was Caleb Williams likes to scramble, and not to get a first down with his legs. He's looking to scramble and still make the throw down the field. So when you're looking at Caleb Williams and his ability to extend plays, you have to keep playing, because if you stop thinking like, oh, he's going to throw it out of bounds, or, oh, he's going to get sacked. No, he's going to make a completion. And so if you're one of these safeties, somebody in the secondary, and you're not doing your job until you hear the whistle, that could end up being a first down. It could end up being a touchdown. For the last 2 weeks, though, he hasn't been as successful. He had no touchdowns. His completion percentage is at 49%. Can the Patriots keep him on ice and force him to make mistakes? He's also been sacked 29 times this season. Can the Patriots take advantage of that with those two offensive linemen out? They have to keep playing until they hear the whistle.
Michael?
Just a quick comment on theirs. I think it's interesting with their two tackles have been ruled out. So I mean they are going to be tapping depth along the offensive line. I just wonder how it affects both the Patriots and the Bears in terms of those backup players playing there. We've heard a lot this season about trying to keep quarterbacks in the pocket. You might be tempted to be a little bit more aggressive where you have some backup tackles coming into the game today. At the same time, though, I think keeping Caleb Williams in the pocket and not letting him get outside and do the things that he loves to do. So it's tough because you're certainly tempted to go after him, to try to attack these tackles. But can they do so? Can they ultimately err on the side of keeping him in the pocket and containing him? It'll be interesting to see how they balance that. So
can you keep an edge or set an edge and keep the pocket?
Yeah.
And ask Keon White to be the disruptor and to pressure from in the inside.
And then finish him off, when you do finally get a hand on him. But it's tough. He's a good player, and that's, I think, where he's most comfortable on the move and making throws downfield. I mean, the guys talked about it this week. Jonathan Jones said you can see gets outside the pocket. He keeps his eyes downfield, so you always have to be aware of those downfield plays. So I like their key. A lot of nuance, I think, with those tackles out. But my key is what I hinted about at the top. Help out the kid. I want to see more support for this kid. Can the wide receivers quit it with the drops, with the false starts on third downs? Can the defense get some more takeaways? I mean, they're down the bottom quarter of the league in terms of interceptions and takeaways. So I'd like to see some extra opportunities for Drake May. Does everything have to be so hard for him, like Tamara said, where he's got to carry the team on his feet and, run, leading the way rush? Can we get the running game going? There's just so much. I got to feel better about something at the end of these 8 games here than just Drake May. I have to see some kind of foundation where even if it's a little bit of chemistry with one of his wide receivers or one of these defenders that are getting chances to play because of injuries step up and are able to start to make some plays. They need people to make good plays and stop with dumb plays around Drake. I just hope that they see what this kid's doing out there, the energy that he's playing with and the leadership that he's already showing, how much is already on his shoulders. So I want the rest of the team to step up around Drake May.
Fair point.
I like Mike's key. And one person I really would love to help out the kid today is another kid, Jalen Polk. Last week, he returned after dealing with a concussion. And for me, he didn't show up for the occasion. It's like you're finally back out there. You finally had the chance to prove all of the people wrong after all of your drops, mental humps, whatever is going on. And you didn't have a single catch. Instead, you had 2 penalties. So if anyone can show up and help the kid, it's Jalen Polk. They came in together. They spent a lot of time together. You would expect them to have great chemistry. I'm hoping that changes today and he can start working towards a comeback.
So, Tamara, you're bringing up a pet peeve before I get to my key,
Sorry.
and that is Jalen Polk. No. Our friend Mike Reese, whose Sunday column, notes column, is a must-read, well-respected, widely respected all over the National Football League. And the top of his column today was about Jalen Polk. And a line in front of Jalen Polk to talk to print reporters, TV reporters, requests for interviews. And the point that I made, bully for you for being accountable. How about zip your lip and let your play do the talking?
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to talk. I need to play.
Mm-hmm.
So with all due respect to all of you who want to hear from me and everything like that, thank you. I'm actually not going to talk today. Talk to him. I need to do a better job in the field. That rubbed me the wrong way.
Is he going to say that? I need to do a better job on the field?
I would hope so.
Okay, then I'm okay with that. Not talking, not a good move when you're not playing well.
Okay, no, but not. Don't you have to be a jerk about it?
Oh,
but
did he? Was he?
No,
I apologize, Mike. You know that I love you. I did not read Mike Reese's
Yeah, no, he
notes
was
this
very
morning.
accommodating and very nice, and I've got to do this, I've got to do that.
Then I'm thumbs up on that.
I know he's required to talk. I would very succinctly say,
Oh.
I don't need to talk. I need to play.
Yeah, I
Thank
don't
you
think
for
he's
asking.
required to talk. I think when you're struggling, you talk.
Okay.
When things are going great, that's when you say, you know what, I'm good.
Yeah.
When you're going through something, when 3 weeks ago you said you had the best hands in the league, and you haven't had a catch since, you talk.
He can talk.
I think that's accountability. I like that.
Okay.
And I'm being dead serious.
I know you are.
I think that's good. And as long as he wasn't. Again, I'm not familiar with what he said.
No, he said all the right things.
Okay, then I think that's
Yeah, I
really
just think
good.
he could have
I think
done
that's
it.
a good sign.
I think he got it done at once and said, that's it for me. I, filled my quota for talking. I need to let my play in the field. I need to do a better job in the field.
So you think he talked too long?
That's my point.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, like
okay.
taking in all comers who are talking. That's my 2 cents. I wasn't there,
Yeah, I wasn't either.
but I read from Mike that he was very accommodating.
I like that.
Okay.
I do, and I would say we're going to go back. Did I step on your?
I need to finish my key.
Go ahead.
You're
yeah,
going to
finish-
hate it.
No. Finish your
Okay.
key because then I want to get back to something that we sort of started with the offensive line and
Great.
sort of branch it out to the receivers. But I want to finish the key segment
Do you like
first.
fight songs, Paul?
Bear down.
Bear down.
Like Rachel
Chicago
Chicago
Bears.
Oh, you mean like
Da 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 da.
I thought you
Da
meant
da
that.
da
I
da.
in typical, I do not like.
I figured as such.
But
This was for you.
what I do like is tradition
Yes.
because I'm old.
Tradition.
I do-
Tradition.
So I'm not in favor of you know what, Mike, you're ahead of that fancy Hollywood studio.
Yeah.
I got to task you with
Huh?
get us a fight song.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Nothing better.
From
I'm not
scratch.
I'm not a fan
No.
of that.
But
No.
bear down?
I'm not a fan of that. But for 100 years, it's been Bear Down Chicago Bears. I'm okay with tradition. I
All
like
right,
I
yeah.
like that.
It's been
So
established.
that is my key.
It's not
Bear
a new
down.
tradition.
Bear down. Like the coach says. How about a sense of urgency? It's a little of an offshoot of yours, Mike.
Yeah.
Bear down.
Yeah.
Attention to details.
I like it, Mike.
Tighten
Matt?
things up.
Yeah.
You know, bear down. Let's go.
It's like George
Hail
Hallis
to
over
the-
here.
I like that, and I was trying to talk to one of those younger whippersnappers the other day when the Ravens were playing Cincinnati, and I said, "Do you know why the Ravens have a marching band?" They said, "No, I hate it." I said, "Because the Redskins are 20 minutes down the road, and they've had one for 100 years, so the Ravens need to have one too."
Well, see, I always thought it was because of Baltimore.
I'm
The
sure it
Colts,
is.
the
Yes.
Colts had a
Great marching
had a
band.
marching band.
Right.
It was the only team in the league that had like a marching band.
Right.
Which was kind of strange.
Yeah.
But I think the Ravens just sort of inherited it.
I think in the different market, like I don't think a marching band would work here in New England very well, but I think in some markets, fine.
Why do they have to march? Could we just have like a rock band? You know, like a team rock band? No one's ever done that before, right? We're trying to think outside
You
the
want to put
box
together a band?
Rap.
here. Rap band? There we go.
You're listening and watching to the Patriots pregame show fueled by Duncan. And here's a question for the crowd. If your team runs on their fans, what do the fans run on? When you kick off your day with Duncan, we're with you all the way to the end zone. Michael, make a run to Duncan. He already did, by the way.
Sure.
It's the official coffee run of the New England Patriots. All right, Mike. Paul said he wanted to get to a couple other things. I want to get back to the offensive line and your point about Mike Owenu. Where do you draw the line between developing Layden Wallace, which I agree with you?
Caden Wallace
Caden
or
Wallace,
Layden
sorry.
Robinson?
Caden Wallace
You
and
merged
Layden
them
Robinson.
into
Sorry.
one guy.
My apologize. My apologize. Where do you draw the line from develop
Yeah.
and do what you can in order to win? It's not at all costs, but where does that line get drawn from your developing, stick him where he's supposed to be, and then keep going?
Sorry, I just splashed myself in the face with my coffee here as we were doing that.
Hot or
bit. So
iced?
it's hot, but it's cold now. So luckily I didn't burn myself. But thank you. I think that's the line, though, Matt. We're starting to see right now,
At
it's
2 and
some
7.
Some of the conversation,
10 weeks in.
starting to happen a little bit of, how do you balance some of these younger guys and giving them opportunities. I'd love to get Caden Wallace back at some point. I mean, it does sound like he will return at some point. I think in a perfect world, he's your right tackle of the future, right? I mean, you took the guy in the third round. It's not too much to, kind of hope and dream that a guy you take at that point, even if he's not that left tackle that you hoped he might have been when you drafted him, that maybe that's the perfect world. Layden Robinson's your right guard of the future, or your left guard of the future, and Wallace is your right tackle of the future. I just think at least one of them needs to emerge as a player, because look, we've talked about it the last couple of weeks and it continues at this particular moment. The rookie class, it's not great. It's not great right now. The performances overall, I mean, Drake May, and then you have a whole lot of things left to be desired from the remaining guys, whether it's injuries or lack of performance. But you're starting to see guys like Javon Baker get chances as well. So I assume that's what they're doing today. They're putting Layden Robinson probably back in there. They need to see improvement from him. But again, another big challenge with this Bears defensive front. They've got some guys up front that are going to challenge this offensive line.
And I feel like I'm cheering for continuity, though. It's like for a while we've been waiting for Verdarian Lowe to be healthy. And now that he's back and healthy, it's like I would prefer you to focus on continuity and having the same offensive line back-to-back weeks. I know we do want to develop those young players, but right now I think that you have this continuity that you can have. Why not take advantage of it while everyone is healthy? And able to play.
So, Tamir, that's the dance that Gerard Mayo and his staff have to do. They're the ones that are in the locker room with the players every single day. And I got to believe that that's a tough dance to sit there and say, no, we're going to make another move over here. And I can understand why people might say, why? We do need the continuity. That's why I think it's the utmost of patience that is required as this whole group, be it the general manager, be it the head coach, be it the players, they're all sort of learning about this on the go, and it's not easy. It's not easy.
Yeah, I understand the state of flux the offensive line has been in all year. It's pretty obvious. I just feel like they need to find the 5 best guys, and I think they're still searching for the 5 best guys. I guess
Hence
I'm
why they're moving everybody around?
Yeah, and I think I'm probably, I guess, in a minority. I don't have any problem if they think Mike Owenu has to move to left guard. Like the guard tackle thing, he's a better guard than tackle.
Right.
So I understand that. Is he a better right guard than left guard? I don't know. I know sometimes those guys have a hard time switching sides. He's done it. He's been on both sides. I know he hasn't played left guard in a while, but what I saw from Michael Jordan last week probably tells me he's not one of the 5 best. So I think that's what they're looking at. And if I'm going to have Michael Jordan struggle or Layden Robinson struggle, give me Layden Robinson struggling,
100%.
every day of the week.
I thought it was interesting when Scott Peters was asked, what's the difference when you switch from right to left, left to right, whatever. He's like, oh, it's like, if you're usually a righty, but you're writing with your left hand. And then he was like, well, actually, I don't want to say it's that difficult, but it's kind of like that. And I'm like, yeah, if I tried to write with my left hand right now, it'd be pretty hard. Even if
right. That's not a good analogy.
Yeah,
Right.
I was like, even if I practice, it still would never be as good as my right.
Some guys can do it
Yeah.
very easily, and some guys have a really, really hard time. Matt Light was one of the guys that could not do it. He couldn't switch back and forth. But there's a lot of guys that have been able to. If it ends up being, a Wenu for Jordan, I don't have a problem with that. It sounds like it's not going to be that. It sounds like he's going to go back to right guard. I don't have a problem with that either.
No, it seems like once they got the continuity, then the guard play started dropping off, and they realized we got the same guys, but we're getting poor performance from Layden Robinson. We're getting poor performance.
That's the
from
part
Michael
of the
Jordan.
equation that seemed like no one really took
way.
into consideration. It's you got the same guys that played. It was I think it was twice in a 3-week span.
Yeah.
But was it really that good? They have yet to have what I would call a good performance from the offensive line. Some of, the Jets game was a little better, I think, than some of the others, but they've struggled for the most part. I thought they were not good last week, even after the switch from Robinson and sliding Onwenu back inside. But the thing that kind of struck me was when we were talking about at what cost, Matt's thing about the rookies, and I think it's a better conversation, or it's sort of more relevant conversation to have it at wide receiver. And with the two kids in Polk and Baker, how do you sort of draw the line for that to say we need to help Drake May, and we need, everything Mike has said about, helping him out is valid. But are you that much better off with KJ Osborne or Kendrick Bourne over those rookies? And then the difference in Bourne and Polk, might you make that up with down the road if you can play 6, 8, 10 games with May and Polk, that you're in a better spot, eventually. Like right now, it's like Bill used to say, the rookies are on the way up, the veterans are already at that level. At some point, they're going to intersect, and that's when you have to make a tough decision. Will that rookie get past that veteran, and then you keep him over him? Will Polk exceed what they're getting from Bourne soon enough to allow you to play him?
Yeah.
And I don't know the answer. I'm just bringing it up as sort of those are the tough decisions. I talked to.
Oh, you talked to someone?
I talked to Tyler Hughes a little bit about this.
One-on-one, privately?
I did for quite some time, actually.
Yeah, some great questions.
To the point where I kind of ran out of questions.
You read any good books lately?
Luckily, Karen Garigi came in and saved me, being the true professional reporter that she is.
Oh, that's a good question.
My mentor. No, just in talking about that, sort of where does that line intersect? Can you get benefit out of playing Polk? And I was talking more about Polk than Baker. But it was interesting to hear him talk about that. Both of those guys are still very much in their plans, despite the caterwauling from the fans about, these guys being busts. I don't think that the team looks at it that way.
I feel similar along those lines more with Baker, just trying to get Baker involved, just to see, because I do think coaches said this week. Alex Van Pelt said that Javon Baker's got some special movement skills to him. I think we know he's struggling a little bit to adapt to being an NFL professional player. Got some opportunities last week, but I feel like Polk's going to be involved. They just seem determined that they're going to try to keep him in the mix. With Baker, it seems like they could bury him a little bit if they weren't really interested in trying to get him up. They could continue to kind of roll, with Booty or give Thornton some chances. So I want to see Baker continue just to get chances. I think at this point, any of these young guys that get out there and get opportunities, I think it's a positive because you're trying, as the coaches told you this week, we're trying to find out who's going to be on board for the future.
To your point, Mike, Baker had 4 snaps last week. Polk had 9.
Right.
That's not enough to figure out if these guys can play.
Yeah.
Do you think that Thornton and Osborne are going to be inactive again?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I think that's all part of it, Tamara. I think they've made that decision. And to Mike and Paul's point about how do we get the young guys integrated, well, you take these two guys that probably aren't a part of the 2025 team, and let's take a look and see if these guys can be a part of the 2025 team. I will tell you that week in and week out, when we ask for questions from the fans to ask Gerard Mayo for Patriots All Access, the number one question every single week: when will Javon Baker play and get playing time?
Well, that's whenever someone's not playing, that's always the number one
of
question,
course.
because that's always the guy that's putting you into the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The guy who's inactive every week is the guy that's the difference between you winning and losing.
And all I'm saying is there's interest. And
Yeah.
I think you guys make really good points. Tamara, I think that those guys that I think Osborne, I know he was being credited with being a good professional, because of his actions on the sideline in Tennessee last week. I'm just saying.
Cannot with Paul.
I'm just saying. I know Paul loves that kind of stuff, but I think those guys are going to be stapled to the bench going forward.
He didn't say, "Oh man, he caught it. Now I'm never gonna play."
No, I do think, though, just overall, it's probably one of the lesser criticisms, though, you could have had from the last couple of years, was just when the season gets to this point, now it's, time to look at guys like Marty Mapu a little,
Right.
this maybe from last year. Just not extreme circumstances. They're a younger team now. They have more of these guys kind of in the background, I'd feel like, and others have already gotten opportunities because of injuries. But I think that's one of the, criticisms of, you get to the point in the season, like, we got to find out about all these guys. Let's get them in there and let them play.
Speaking of opportunities because of injuries, wait, are you going to, I was like, you're
No,
gonna
the
go
only
too
thing
far?
I was going to say is we talked about accountability and Jalen Polk. Again, the professionals, they get paid. I just want to give a little hockey stick tap to Mike Owenu, who admittedly has said he's not had a good year. Part of that's probably from being bounced around so much. But I think his willingness that they were going to him, hey, you might have to play left guard. You might have to play right tackle this week. You might be playing right guard. I think he's handled it very professionally. He should. He's getting paid a lot of money. I just like his accountability, and I just wanted to pass that along. That's it.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about what you guys have described about Polk. I think that's accountability.
Yeah.
And I think for a young guy, rookie, doing that, I think that's really impressive. I've been a little critical of Polk, so I want to be fair about it too. Like I think that if that's what he did, he took on all comers. That's not easy to do.
Yeah.
Matt Light never did it when Jason Taylor beat the bag out of him.
Well, I think what I balked at is it was described in Mike's column as a car wash of people repeatedly. It was Tamara Brown with some questions. Then it was Mike Dussault waiting in the wings. Then it was Matt Smith. Then one statement, I got to do better. See you out there. I'm going to practice. Would have been fine by me. That's all. Tamara, you had something to say.
Sounds like to me, again, I wasn't there, but it sounds like to me, I don't think he could have handled it better.
Okay, Tamara.
You don't leave someone wanting to get their questions in. Oh, no, I already answered that one. Yeah, you're out.
Okay.
I was going to say another room that is getting a lot of opportunities because of injuries is the safety room. Not having Kyle Duggar for consecutive weeks, including today, has opened the door for a lot of those young guys to get reps, which obviously you would love to have Kyle Duggar out there, especially with the way the defense has underperformed this season. But I think that being able to see a lot of these safeties, like maybe the Del Pettis, the Hawkins of the world, play, Mapu, now that he's back in play, hopefully will be better for the future, even though right now we do wish that Kyle Duggar could play.
So the Duggar thing, I think, is mildly interesting here in that you thought it was an ankle injury. He's going to be all right. He's going to miss. This is now how many weeks in a row that he's
3.
missed. And I don't think he's on the horizon for coming back, although Mayo said it's not a season-ending injury, but they miss him clearly.
Yes.
Clearly they miss him. And we talk about the lack of turnovers and everything like that. I don't know how much of a ball hawk is, but he's been a ball hawk kind of in his career. I think that playmaking, they're certainly missing that kind of playmaking in the back end for sure.
Can I have a bad take? It kind of looks the same with or without him to me. I don't know. I haven't seen like.
I disagree on that.
You think
they'd be running like this with Peppers and Duggar back there?
Oh, Peppers.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, but
The
Duggar.
magic
Sorry, but to me,
word.
Duggar is a more
The
physical
magic
player
word.
in the run game than Peppers. But I didn't mean to step on you.
What
I think
did you say? Duggar's more physical than Peppers
in the run game? Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely. He's around the line of scrimmage more than Peppers is in the run game. I think they miss him a lot. Now, I'm not telling you that they would be, the record would be any different, but I don't think they'd be allowing 165 yards every game running if they had those two guys back there at safety. I think they'd be putting extra guys in the box and stopping this, and I don't think they have the ability to do that with those kids. And I think they're smaller. You know, I think Pettis
sure.
and I don't really know what I mean. Aside from being an undrafted rookie, I haven't seen anything from Del Pettis. I guess that's another one I'm the a-hole I don't see it. But I do like Mapu's versatility. I just don't know, Mike. I think I kind of feel like Mapu the way you feel about Keon White. Like, I don't know exactly what it is he does, does really well. He does everything, but I haven't really identified the thing that I like. That's the way they should use him, because that's what he does really well.
Can you envision a safety room with Peppers, Duggar, Mapu, and maybe even Hawkins? Like, Hawkins is, again, this is the theme of the 2024 Patriots. Guys are being asked to do too much. I think Hawkins is a nice little role player to have in there, but he's not a 60-snap guy.
No, I mean, I agree with Paul's bigger point. If they had their two main starters back there, it would look better. But I feel like the safety groups has been blowing coverages all season, whether he was in there or not in there. I feel like they were giving up big runs, whether he was in there or not in there. I mean, he's definitely a good player, and he's better than what they have.
You're probably right.
But I just don't feel like, wow, this is so much different without Kyle Duggar. Like, I totally echo what you just said, Paul, and I feel kind of the same way. Literally yesterday, hanging around watching some of that Alabama game last night, I just literally just threw up Marty Mapu snaps. Like, what has he been doing? Because I haven't really, same thing. I haven't really noticed him, and he plays a lot of places, but I think it's the bigger issue with the whole team is that they just don't make plays.
Table that point, Mike. I sense a lot of negativity coming out of you so early this morning.
Yeah, well.
Anyway, time to go behind enemy lines.
They better play good.
You know the view from New England, but what about the view from the other side?
And that's why you're our favorite pregame show guest every year.
You guys know you tell everybody that.
Oh, yeah?
I was on with you guys in 2018, Thursday Night Football.
Yep.
And I was told I was the favorite guest of the show.
Nope.
No.
Time now to go behind enemy lines.
My God, it's coming right for us!
And we are pleased to be joined behind enemy lines by Courtney Cronin of ESPN in Chicago. Courtney, good morning. And right out of the bat, a real hard one for you. Give me a little weather report in the Windy City today as the Patriots take on the Chicago Bears. Courtney, are you there?
Right around 1 o'clock I think right around 1 o'clock is when the wind is supposed to pick up. It's about 58 degrees on the lakefront, which obviously gets a little colder when you're on the field because of how close you are to the water. And, the conditions here are always different than they are anywhere else in the city of Chicago. But it's calm as of right now, but we are expecting the wind to pick up here closer to kickoff.
Hey, Courtney, just to start off, Braxton Jones, Darnell Wright, both ruled out yesterday. What do you expect the Bears to roll with it at the tackle position today?
Yeah, they're in a really tough spot, guys. So they're going to probably have to go with Larry Borum once again at left tackle. He wasn't great there last week. He was just activated off of injured reserve, and that's a really tough spot for the team to be in because they don't really have other tackle depth. Jake Curran, who was called up from the practice squad last week, did what he could in a couple snaps playing for Darnell Wright at right tackle once he went down with injury in Arizona. So they're going to be moving guys around. And, some injury news that popped up this morning was that Nate Davis, who is a reserve at this point, he was a starter for this team, was benched, highest paid offensive lineman on this roster, but they have determined that he suits them better in a role on the bench than anything else. He was ruled out this morning with a back injury that popped up. I guess the one silver lining for the Bears with the offensive line is that they do get Ryan Bates back. He was activated off of injured reserve officially on Saturday, and where he starts is kind of the mystery. You would think, given his experience at center, that they would love to have a little bit of an upgrade there, but I just don't think they want to move that many guys out of position. So I would imagine if they can get him at right guard and maybe move Matt Pryor to one of the tackle spots, that could be how they roll today.
Courtney, sticking with the offense, looking at Caleb Williams, only 24 points combined in their last 2 weeks in both of those losses. What is the common denominator there? His completion percentage is 49%. He has no touchdown passes. What's going on?
It's a great question because we've been trying to figure it out and have been fed a lot of cliches from the coaching staff. And as they're trying to figure it out, too, it's kind of confounding. You have an offense that has so much more talent, by and large, than it did a year ago, yet they're worse statistically in most categories than they were in 2023 when they had a different coordinator, they had a different quarterback, and they had less talent at that position, at the wide receiver position. So I think that this is a situation where the scheme is just not matching up to the strengths of the players right now. And that's a tough spot for them to be in 9 weeks into the season when frankly, you'd be making changes that you've been rolling with on a week-to-week basis. And I think it's hard to establish continuity when you're doing that at this point of the season. So they've got to be able to run the ball so then they can start getting DJ Moore his targets. And he is getting targets. It's just him and Caleb Williams have not been on the same page, and Caleb's never really had these inaccuracy issues that we're seeing now at any other point in his career.
Courtney, I just want to know your thoughts on why you think that might be happening. Is it more on Caleb Williams, or is it the problems that we talked about on the top with the offensive line and the protection?
I hate being cliche myself. It certainly is all of those things. But let's start with the offensive line. So he was 1 of 8 last week on passes that traveled 15 or more air yards. When you don't trust your protection and you're having all of these negative plays, you're in a situation where you're backed up and it's 3rd and forever. You don't really have the time to drop back and pass and get this deep passing game going. So I think the inaccuracy issues for him there are kind of expected, but then it just does, something's not clicking. There's a big mystery as to why he and DJ Moore, who they've spent so much time together, and really when you take a look at DJ's track record, this is the guy who's supposed to be able to make any quarterback flourish. He had 12 different quarterbacks throwing him passes between his 6 seasons prior to this year, whether it was Justin Fields and Tyson Bagent last year in a career year for him, or whether it was all the quarterbacks, double-digit quarterbacks that he had in Carolina, and he had 3,000-yard seasons then. It's just not adding up. So I would tend to believe that this could be, a rookie quarterback who might be doing, might not be completely all the way comfortable in the offense just yet, which you expect. I mean, Drake May is going through it too. This is normal for rookie quarterbacks. But I don't know if they're scheming him. The pass concepts here they feel very disjointed. I don't feel like they're putting him in the best situation to get him the easy completions, to force him into taking the check down at points, because it looks like he's going for the big play more times than not, which you saw last week on that back shoulder pass that went to DJ Moore. At least it was supposed to go to DJ Moore, but he was running up the field, going vertical, and those two were certainly not on the same page from that regard.
I hear a lot of not clicking scheme questions. So what's the mood there, Courtney? You hear the hot seat stuff for the coaching staff. What's the mood of the team as they look to play the Patriots today?
It's interesting because we've heard a lot about the meetings that have been taking place, and in my experience covering teams that are clicking and don't have these question marks, you don't usually hear about what's going on in team meetings, guys speaking up and voicing frustrations with the way that the execution's going, or why certain things are called on certain plays. So I think that you have to give that credence, but also realize there's still a 500 team right now. I know it doesn't feel like it, given how many things have gone wrong for them, but they're still in a position where they can improve to 1 game over 500 today before they start the hardest stretch in their schedule, which starts with Green Bay coming into town next week. They didn't do themselves any favors. Whoever drew the straw for them in the scheduling gave them the best 10 games to start out with, and then the worst remaining schedule, because it is the hardest going beyond Week 11.
So with all that being said, how about a pick for today, Courtney?
I think just based on where both teams are right now, the Patriots are, I think, in a worse spot, by and large, along the offensive line. For as much as we've talked about that this morning, it's still, I think, worse for New England today. So I'm going to pick the Bears at home. I don't think it's going to be a very high-scoring game, maybe 21-17. But this has got to be, for Chicago's sake, this has to be the week that they get back on track, because, it gets really, really difficult next week.
Courtney Cronin from ESPN. Watch her on Around the Horn. She does a terrific job. Courtney, thanks very much. Enjoy the game today, and thanks for all your expertise.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you, Courtney. Yeah, it's interesting, the whole I feel like it's interesting how the two young quarterbacks are dealing with a lot of the very same issues. I told you, the one major difference is that Williams has the advantage of having some quality players to throw the ball to, but in either regard, it doesn't matter. And you look, Caleb Williams has played every game. I think he has 5 picks and 2 lost fumbles. And Drake May's played 4 games, and he has 4 picks and 2 lost fumbles. Like, that's a result of trying to do too much, not having the protection, and just being a rookie. You know, like, that's a lot of turnovers in a short amount of time for Drake May for his, as many plays as he's made. So I think they're dealing with a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah.
And I think they have talent. I think I really like Caleb Williams, his ability. But it sounds like old friend Shane Waldron might not be long for Chicago. Maybe,
well, it's the old expectation.
You know what I tell you? No green bananas.
Yeah, it's the old expectation game, Paul. I think the Bears expected to be further along than they are, even with bringing in a rookie quarterback.
But I like the comment that Courtney made about the scheme doesn't seem to fit the talent.
Yeah.
And it's the same kind of stuff that we worry about here.
Yep.
We are about 5 minutes away from Inactives today, and who should we be keeping an eye on the inactive list? We know Duggar is not going to play.
Mm-hmm. And Ellis.
And Christian Ellis. I mean,
they're probably just some depth guys, I would guess. You know, I mean, they have a couple new players that they brought in, so I would guess.
Well,
those guys.
Ngakwe's not going to play.
We know Ngakwe is already out.
We need to talk about him a little bit later on, maybe after the break. But on Ellis, and I say this with all due respect, I don't think many Patriot fans were going to talk about him as playing a key role back in September, but he's turned himself into a nice little role player, and I think somebody's got to take those snaps that Ellis is going to be missing. So that's just another depth piece where you're going down and potentially going down enough.
I think Ellis, too, especially because he took the snaps away from Raekwon McMillan, who is no longer on this team. So now with both of them not doing it, it definitely is a question mark of, like, who's going to take all these snaps.
Yeah, taki time. Time for some taki-takis. In my go-back last night with Mapu, I did catch a little bit of taki-taki. He can run well. I mean, I said the same thing about Ellis last week. I think as a special teams guy, he's got some speed to him, but their struggles at the second level this season without Jawan Bentley have been just a huge part of why this defense has struggled. And, you know, I was still surprised to see Raekwon McMillan. I've been as critical of him as anybody on this team. And it's just, you see, it's a hard way to live when you're inside linebackers who are traditionally going to be the guys who make the plays and run around and make the tackles. They can't, because either the defensive line isn't holding up their blockers enough, or your linebackers aren't smart enough or fast enough to beat the blockers. And, you know, you're consistently seeing guys on the second level getting blocked, and that's why you're seeing a lot of explosive runs. That's what happens. You get running backs free up into the second level. Those linebackers get blocked. Now they're in the third level, and it's, you know, challenge for the defensive backs to tackle the running backs. So we'll see if Taki can emerge. I mean, it seems like they've been slow playing him a little bit. They still seem they're anticipating his return that can hopefully maybe provide a little bit of a boost, but I think it would make a huge difference if he's able to come in and make some plays.
Would be nice. The call line is 855-PATS-500. You can email us at podcast@patriots.com. Much to discuss as the Patriots pregame social rolls on, fueled by Duncan. We'll be back right after this message.
Without good blocking, your team's not going anywhere. Cisco blocks cyber attacks for customers around the world, including the entire Fortune 100 and the NFL. Because when the game is on the line, and it's always on the line, the NFL relies on Cisco.
It ain't my dad's razor, Dad.
Hey, watch it.
It's from Gillette Labs. This green bar releases trapped hairs from my face.
Game changer.
While the Flex, this contours to it, so the 5 blades can get virtually every hair in one stroke. For the ultimate Gillette shaving experience,
The best a man can get
is Gillette Labs.
By the time this Patriots fan is finished drinking his Pepsi, you'll be 15 seconds closer to game time. Patriots watching. Better with Pepsi.
Without good blocking, your team's not going anywhere. Cisco blocks cyber attacks for customers around the world, including the entire Fortune 100 and the NFL. Because when the game is on the line, and it's always on the line, the NFL relies on Cisco.
It ain't my dad's razor, Dad.
Hey, watch it.
It's from Gillette Labs. This green bar releases trapped hairs from my face.
Game changer.
While the Flex, this contours to it, so the 5 blades can get virtually every hair in one stroke. For the ultimate Gillette shaving experience,
The best a man can get
is Gillette Labs.
By the time this Patriots fan is finished drinking his Pepsi, you'll be 15 seconds closer to game time. Patriots watching. Better with Pepsi.
You've got to watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon. Come on! From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns to turnovers and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Nice! Let's go! This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
oh no!
Replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
You've got to watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon. Come on! From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns to turnovers and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Nice! Let's go! This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
oh no!
Replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
Join the conversation by calling into the TPX hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at podcast@patriots.com. Now, live from our studios, here is Matt Smith.
And we welcome you back to Gillette Stadium. We're about 90 minutes away before the New England Patriots take on the Chicago Bears in Chicago for a big game this afternoon. Massachusetts is made for everyone, for leaf peepers, corn maze strollers, regatta lovers, pumpkin pickers, and anyone else you can think of. Come to where there's something for everyone this fall in Massachusetts, where everything is made possible. Plan your trip at visitma.com. It's half past the hour, which means it's inactive time, and that means it's Tamara Brown time. Who do we got not playing today, Tamara?
No surprises for the Patriots not playing today. It was the typical ones we discussed earlier: Kyle Duggar, Christian Ellis, Eric Johnson, Tyquan Thornton, Ngakoue, and Tyrese Robinson. And as always, Joe Milton is the emergency quarterback. For the Bears, though, we talked about their offensive line with Courtney Cronin earlier. Their inactives are out as well. It's going to be Darnell Wright out, Braxton Jones out, Darrell Taylor out, Nate Davis out, Kieran.
Oh, go for it. You got it.
I can't do it.
Omegadaji.
Oh, I love that.
That's a more.
Amir Speed, Jaquan Brisker, and Noah Swell. So on their inactives alone, they have
a Dallas Thomas.
they have 4 offensive linemen on their inactives. Courtney Cronin hit the nail on the head for what type of day this could be for Caleb Williams again this week.
So, Tamara, when I see the Patriots inactive list, the one thing that pops to mind, we touched on it just a little bit previously, KJ Osborne up.
He's up, but does that mean we'll see him? Because I feel like there's been another game before where he's been up, but he didn't actually get any snaps in the game. He was just on the sideline.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. I mean, like I said, I want Baker. I want to see him try to get Polk involved. I mean, those two guys right now are the priority in my eyes.
Right. The Bears have shown a willingness to make you bring it out, and they don't mind defending the kickoff return. Might that be a spot where we see Javon Baker at least try to prove himself today?
Yeah, especially because special teams is where a lot of people have gotten these reps to then start playing in their position group. I mean, that was Christian Ellis. That's Javon Baker. It could be Jaheim Bell. That's we heard the tight ends coach talk about that this week, of how that's how he's gotten his way on the field. So special teams is a good way to show that, you've good ball security as well. That's an area where, our Patriots wide receivers and tight ends need to show that as well. So
yeah, it looks real quick, it looks like the Bears, too, are just going to have 7 dressed offensive linemen. So very, very thin day for them. If injuries were to strike, they would be scrambling a little bit. Just something more to keep an eye on.
Should be a point of emphasis, an attack for the Patriots. Again, you can email the show at podcast@patriots.com. We're going to go to the electronic mail. First out of the chute is our dear friend Claire in the UK. You can listen to her podcast, A Claire Perspective, who writes, "Good morning, Marine." Okay, not anybody else though, Marine. Do you guys have any opinions? This is why I bring this up, on the usage of the tight end Bell. He seems more of a gadget player, kind of overlaps in the positions. Surely that's the sort of guy that they could use now. I don't pretend to be a draftnik or anything like that. His gadgetry or kind of jack of all trades offensively has always intrigued me. That kind of player. He was productive in college. I'd agree with Claire. I'd like to see what more he can do, and I think he's starting to make some strides. We saw a little bit of him last week on special teams, where Tamara, you made the point. That's where you got to make your bones. He had a block on the Jones punt return, had a catch, albeit for not much. I'd also like to see a little bit more of Jaheim Bell.
Yeah, absolutely. Very athletic guy. I mean, that's what stood out to me instantly. You don't usually have high expectations for a 7th-round pick, but started to see him show up a little bit in the preseason. I mean, some of those plays wasn't even like him actually making the play. It was just like, man, he really ran down the field fast there. Those are the kind of things that catch your eye first. So, Austin Hooper on a 1-year deal. It's the kind of thing where, in a perfect world, Jaheim Bell gets some reps here through the last 8 games, and he's ready to maybe step up and take that TE2 role next year.
Happy Sunday morning out to Pat from Agawam, who joins us next on the Patriots pregame social fueled by Duncan. Good morning, Pat.
Good morning, everyone.
Hey, Patty.
Good morning.
So I wanted to bring something up and then just throw out a question to you guys. The 2 wide receivers we took, I don't care which one. I just want to see one of the guys, finish the season strong. I don't even care if it starts this week, but I would like to think that we can at least hit on one of those guys. But the question I have for you guys going into this game, we know the Bears' run defense isn't all that great. Do you think, even with all the switching going around on the offensive line, do you think you would sound the alarm bells if we don't have somewhat of a productive game this week against this team? And I'll take it off air and talk to you guys on the postgame show.
Thanks for the call, Pat. And I think the alarm and the bells have already been sounded. It has been alarming, the lack of productivity on the run game. So, yes, there's a lot of things before the ball's even kicked today where you would say, this is someplace where we can try to make some hay. Can they do it? That's why they play the game.
Yeah, especially watching that Cardinals game. James Conner did whatever he wanted to do last week. So why can't that be Ramondre Stevenson today?
Yeah, I also think part of it, and Paul, this is a Paul thing. I hate bringing it up without him here because we get him cooking and he'd be all fired up about it. But a lot of the questions this week about the run game were like, man, it seemed like you guys really had it going the first couple weeks. And I think we all watched games in those first couple weeks where it felt like Ramondre was dodging guys in the backfield and dragging guys with him. And, it's never looked that good as far as the run game. And so I don't have an expectation for it to suddenly happen. I'd love it to, and I know that they are dying to get it going. And every offensive lineman that we heard from this week, it's a huge priority for them. They totally understand everything that we talk about on these shows about what does it look like with Drake when you have a running back who can get, a running game, I should say, that can produce yards and produce a balanced offense. So you now have play action opportunities, and, it just opens up everything. I'd say Alex Van Pelt's offense, too, specifically, it's very dependent on everything kind of working in conjunction with each other. And when you don't have one piece working at all, it undercuts the rest of the offense. So that's the great question to me. Can they have a game where they're a productive run game where the running back is not being hit in the backfield? There are actual holes being opened up. As Tamara said, if you watched that game last week with the Cardinals and James Conner is, not even touched before he's getting 5 yards downfield. Those kind of things happen in the NFL, and it's time for the Patriots to start putting together those kind of games because it's 8 games left. Now is the time to start to show that they're building something here, and it's not going to be a totally lost year other than just Drake May.
Okay, not making excuses for him. Quinnen Williams 2 weeks ago. Yeah. Simmons last week.
Montez
2 great
Sweat this week.
run-stuffing players. Are the Patriots going into this game saying we're going to bang our head against the wall? We're determined, with the elevations that we've seen, so far, we're determined against a poorly ranked run defense. We've got to commit to it, and we're going to sell out, and we're going to commit to the run.
Yeah, I don't know how much of a difference Mitchell Wilcox makes in sparking, your run game. So it's great in theory that, that's what you're going to try to do, but it's the NFL. It's every week there are these guys up front that you have to deal with, and, certainly this week it sounds like Sweat missed last week. Sounds like he's back in the mix, so he should be back in, and Javon Dexter as well. 2 really big, disruptive guys up front. So it's just...
And Tremaine Edmonds.
And Tremaine Edmonds.
But I'm only
I know,
saying
that's
that
all right,
because...
Virginia. I got it. I listen. But he's a very good, he's a very good, big, mobile linebacker who, shuts down runs. And that's what the Patriots' problem has been. So it's just at a certain point, every team is pretty good. You've got to find a way to at least establish a baseline. And I've said it before, the last week or so, there's certain teams that are in the bottom 5 of the league. And then there are a lot of teams that somehow find a way to at least be marginally productive. And I feel like over recent weeks, the Patriots have trended like one of these bottom 5 teams. They can't really get anything going. can they get to just, it doesn't have to be overwhelming, and they don't have to run all over the Bears like the Cardinals did, but can they do enough? Maybe even like going back a couple weeks ago against the Jets, where it wasn't a lot, but it was over 100 yards, and it was effective in places, and, you'll take that incremental growth. This week Alex Van Pelt said, I feel like we took 2 steps back this week, and that to me really stood out. So maybe they can take those 2 steps forward and start to get things going on the ground, because it really might make everything blossom around it.
Which ties it to our email from Oliver in London, who asks, with predictions at the beginning of the season seeing the Patriots anywhere between 2 and 5 wins, it seems like we're back on track to fall within this range. If the Patriots end up closer towards the latter, say a 4 or 5 win season, would you classify this as a success? If you're thinking about performance, I would assume that we get there with performances similar or slightly better than today. Many thanks, from Oliver. Is there 7 2-win teams in the National Football League?
I think so. Yeah, there's
right.
a bunch.
So there's a lot of bad. There's a lot of bad teams.
There's
out there.
2 on TV right now.
Right. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I hate in the off season people are like, what's your schedule prediction? Like, what's your season prediction for the record? And it's so hard because you don't know
when are you playing.
When are you playing certain teams? And this week this team was missing their starting quarterback. You play Miami without Tua. All the different factors that go in. But we get to this point in the season now where we're closing in on Thanksgiving. We all know the cliches about this is when, you really start to play your best football. But we get to where the Patriots are now, 2-7. I say I want them to win games now. I want to win games. I don't want the first overall pick. I think this year it's really going to be hard to move that first overall pick. I'd like them to maybe win 5 games. Can they win 3 more games out of this final 8? I know it might be asking a lot, but I think then you start to have some belief in the program that guys are getting better. I assume that they wouldn't do that just because Drake May was the only good player. I assume that if they were to win 3 more games this year, other guys have stepped up, and you just end the season with a little bit of a positive feeling like you got some momentum going. That to me would be ideal.
How about 1 game at a time, Mike, and let's try to get a win today.
I like it.
All right. We'll be back to talk about more as Paul has returned from one of his shows. We'll be back with more of the Patriots pregame social fueled by Duncan right after this timeout.
Without good blocking, your team's not going anywhere. Cisco blocks cyber attacks for customers around the world, including the entire Fortune 100 and the NFL. Because when the game is on the line, and it's always on the line, the NFL relies on Cisco.
It ain't my dad's razor, Dad.
Hey, watch it.
It's from Gillette Labs. This green bar releases trapped hairs from my face.
Game changer.
While the Flex, this contours to it. So the 5 blades can get virtually every hair in one stroke. For the ultimate Gillette shaving experience.
The best a man can get
is Gillette Labs.
By the time this Patriots fan is finished drinking his Pepsi, you'll be 15 seconds closer to game time. Patriots watching. Better with Pepsi.
Without good blocking, your team's not going anywhere. Cisco blocks cyber attacks for customers around the world, including the entire Fortune 100 and the NFL. Because when the game is on the line, and it's always on the line, the NFL relies on Cisco.
It ain't my dad's razor, Dad.
Hey, watch it.
It's from Gillette Labs. This green bar releases trapped hairs from my face.
Game changer.
While the Flex, this contours to it. So the 5 blades can get virtually every hair in one stroke. For the ultimate Gillette shaving experience.
The best a man can get
is Gillette Labs.
By the time this Patriots fan is finished drinking his Pepsi, you'll be 15 seconds closer to game time. Patriots watching. Better with Pepsi.
You've got to watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon. Come on! From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns to turnovers and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Nice! Let's go! This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
Oh no.
replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
You've got to watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon. Come on! From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns to turnovers and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Nice. Let's go! This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
Oh no.
replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
Join the conversation by calling into the TPX hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at podcast@patriots.com. Now, live from our studios, here is Matt Smith.
Voice on as we look back at Super Bowl 20. This is when the Bears and the Patriots game really was for all the marbles. And the Patriots got walloped. Super Bowl 20 in New Orleans. Poor Grogan took a savage beating. William the Refrigerator Perry had to pile it on as the Bears, in my opinion, that was the best single-season NFL team that I've seen play. They were dominant. They beat the bag out of our Patriots in those classic red uniforms in Super Bowl 20. Maybe for a little bit more of an upbeat Patriots Bears time, we go to 20 years ago today, Chris Judge, if we can advance, in Champaign, Illinois. One of the great finishes in an otherwise disappointing 2002 year. Brady to the late, great David Patton. Yes, he got both toes in. Yes, he made the catch. And the Patriots went on to come back from behind to beat the Bears in Champaign, Illinois. Tamara, just a little Patriots-Bears history lesson for you on a couple of interesting games. That game, as pointed out by our good friend Nick Puopolo, was 20 years ago today, the Bears and Patriots in Champaign, Illinois. I digress for a second.
I mean, the music was epic. I felt like we needed the football
Need
voice,
a better
though.
voice than mine, for
The
sure.
Patriots up 3-0 in Super Bowl 20.
Need a better voice than mine.
Remember the Patriots were winning?
Right there.
They were winning, and then
Richard, 3-zip.
It all went to hell.
3-zip, and then it all went down.
So those would be my two memories. I have a lot of strong memories on those two games.
Yeah.
It would be the first would be what Mike just prefaced. You know, they come out, Bears fumble on the first play from scrimmage, and I was convinced this is our year. We're doing it. We're doing
Bury
it.
the Bears.
Then Eason failed to throw a touchdown pass despite 3 golden opportunities to do so, and they had to kick a field goal. And I said, well, that was fun while it lasted.
Yeah.
Was
Yours?
that
Game, set,
Did they have
match.
Miller Lite back then? Was that?
I think they had Bud Light, which is easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Bud Light is the official beer sponsor of New England Patriots. I can tell you that there was a young whippersnapper named Matt Smith in the end zone in attendance at Super Bowl 20 at that game. Whatever money he didn't have poured into a $30 a night hotel room. A friend of mine from Chicago had a ticket for me to go there. I was happy to be there. Not happy to see the Patriots get lambasted.
It's one of my regrets now is there were a couple opportunities when I was a young single dude to go to a Super Bowl, randomly, like just to take a trip maybe to, Super Bowl 39, 38. Like I didn't have anything going on. I had no kids. Like, I don't know. I wish I had taken advantage of those opportunities, especially Super Bowl 49 because I was in California and it was in Arizona. So, we were talking about maybe driving and had some friends that we get tickets and didn't end up coming through, but still never been to a Super Bowl, and it doesn't look like I'll be going to one.
Don't say that.
Oh, ye of little faith. They're going to turn it around. Paul, we welcome you back, and this email from Joe is for you.
Hi, Joe.
How does talking or not talking to the media make someone play better? At some point, focusing more on football isn't having any effect. Bandwidth is a real thing. You at least need to have the balls and ideally evidence to say you think Polk isn't working hard if you want him to stop talking to the media. Otherwise, you sound like an angry parent who says their child, go to your room, I don't want to look at you right now. Maybe that's intended for me, that's fine. I'll take that.
No, I'll take it. I totally agree with you. I think accepting responsibility, Joe, is part of what you're supposed to do. I applaud Jalen Polk for not going to hide in his locker like a lot of guys do when things aren't going well. I think it was a sign of maturity. I'm with the emailer 100%.
Okay. There we go. 855-PATS-500 is the number. Let's go to Deshaun now in Virginia. Deshaun, we welcome you to the Patriots pregame social fueled by Duncan. Good morning, Deshaun.
Good morning to you guys. How you guys doing?
Fantastic.
Basically, I wanted to touch on is I hear a lot of talk about as far as certain players we don't have when it comes to guys like Duggar. Like that's the reason I'm kind of disappointed because I think that we should have went all in by trading a lot of these guys so we could stockpile picks to try to rejuvenate this roster. Because even though all the problems that the Bears have, they're not going against any fearsome pass rush from the Patriots. So I feel like they would still end up blowing us out because that's how bad I think this roster is. So I think that if they would have got rid of some guys or whatever, and then by trying to get the first pick, you could try to trade that for a numerous amount of picks to try to rejuvenate this roster. So these guys are terrible.
Deshaun, thank you for the phone call, which brings us and leads us into the move that the Patriots made late Friday afternoon with the
Before you
pickup
do that, can I just ask a question?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
If your players are all so bad, how do you restock your roster by trading them?
Yeah, that's why I was moving along.
27th round conditional picks.
Right.
Right. So a head scratcher to some was the late Friday afternoon move where the Patriots picked up a veteran defensive lineman. Tamara, so you're shaking your head. Your thoughts first. You can lead it off.
I feel like I'm going to mess up his name. Can you pronounce it again?
Yannick Ngakoue.
Yannick Ngakoue.
How many times did you practice that before you?
He's been in the league for like 15 years.
He's been a guy
but
that
you
Patriots
can pronounce
fans-
Yannick Ngakoue and you can't pronounce Chandler Jones.
Chandler. Chocolate. Chandler.
Is that a thing? I didn't know that.
What way?
Yeah, I can't do it. I call him Chandler. I can't do it.
Ngakoue.
I call it chocolate.
Yannick.
Mm-hmm.
Chocolate.
Yannick, like who's on our
Yeah,
content
there you
team.
go. Just call him Yannick.
Yannick?
Ngakoue.
A Dallas Thomas.
Once you get it, it's easy.
Or Awarie.
Yeah. I'm a little bit, I was a little bit
Awarie.
like shocked because you could have just kept Uche. Like why wouldn't you just keep a guy who's already been in your system? You already know what you have out of him. You didn't really get much for him in the trade either. So it's like, why didn't you just keep what you already had? That was my thought. Like now, because now you have to teach this guy the defense. He's not available today, whereas Uche could have played today. So that was my thought of like, it's kind of just you let a guy go to put the same kind of guy in his role. But
let's go around the horn.
I mean, to me, it just feel like we want to give ourselves a chance to be competitive on third downs. I mean, that's I don't think they've had edge rushers all year long, and as much as you want to put Jennings into that role and make him a 3-down guy, I don't think he's got that kind of juice. I don't really know if Yannick Ngakoue's got that juice yet left either. I mean, he's been unproductive coming off a big ankle injury last year. Wasn't really doing much for the Bears. I mean, as far as scheme stuff, like he's kind of a hand-down defensive end. Go get the quarterback. I think that's how they'll use him. But like I've said all year, I just think their pass rush has been below the level. I get why they moved Uche. I don't know. The move didn't really move me either way. My biggest question was, does Ngakoue really want to be here? Is he, because he's an older guy,
probably right.
Goes from Baltimore where he's, feels like he's playing, but he's kicked around the league for a few years. He's on his last chances, so we'll just see how motivated he is.
I would just say that if he couldn't do anything in Baltimore on a Super Bowl contender, like I don't know how he fixes those things that you're lacking. I totally agree that they're lacking edge presence, but I just don't think he's that anymore. He stunk last year in Chicago. He's done nothing this year in Baltimore. Great career. I love the player.
Correct.
I absolutely love the player. In Jacksonville, early in his career, he was a problem. He was a difference maker.
Good player for the Colts when he played for Indy.
He had a decent year like 3 years ago, for the Colts, but he hasn't been the guy he was in Jacksonville. And he's bounced around. He's been on like 5 teams since. That tells me something too. Mm-hmm. And I just don't know if he gives you that stuff that you're lacking. I agree with Mike that they're lacking an edge. That I would rather see them play Anthony Jennings and just see, like, I don't think much of Anthony Jennings as that kind of a guy, the edge rusher. I don't think that's what he is. But was it last game that he all of a sudden he played like all the snaps? And
yeah,
like
last two games.
Keep him out there and see if maybe he can find something. Maybe he can develop something. I don't know. I mean, how did you put it that this didn't move me?
It didn't really move me that much.
I agree. I agree with Mike. It's not
we need
worth
a body. To be honest, I was more interested with Raekwon McMillan getting released, and like I said, I've been really critical of him, but still, I mean, it's a guy who was even though his defensive snaps were dropping off the cliff the last couple games, he was still almost an every down special teams player for you. So, I mean, it's just a guy who was playing. That's why I just found it a little bit surprising because they don't even really have the depth. So I'm sure the coach will get asked about that next week because despite his map performance, I felt like he was always one of the coaches' just kind of favorites anyway. They like his personality. I mean, they kept him around for he lost 2 seasons here completely to injury, and they still kept signing him to contracts because I think they just liked the guy. So that's why it was just a little bit, jarring at this point when you're already lacking depth. You're already putting special teams players in at linebacker that, he would be one guy that was out. That to me was the bigger surprise of that whole thing that went down yesterday.
I agree with you too, especially with Ellis not playing either this week. It's like you thought you would have kept Raekwon to maybe put him in his spot. I don't know. I'm confused.
I just wonder if they gave up. If they're like he can't play anymore, and we need to at least put Taki in there. And
I haven't seen anything from Raekwon McMillan as a Patriot that is warrants all the stuff that you just said. I think Bill liked him as a special teamer.
Mm-hmm.
And we know the value he used to place on special teams. I think that's all it was, and I think this regime probably doesn't look at it the same way.
One of the scribes surmised, is there a chance to bring him back on the practice squad? Has that time come and gone?
Sure.
Or do you think that that's still a possibility?
I think they have to wait for that. But I wouldn't rule that out.
Right. I look at it as a low cost, low risk on bringing in Ngakoue. He was available. It didn't cost him anything. I don't think he's going to set the world on fire or anything like that. Maybe he can help as a rotational person. They haven't been able to create any pressure. I don't know if this guy's got anything left.
I just don't want him playing over anybody else. That's all. Yeah. I don't want him playing a snap over anybody that I don't know about yet. If that makes any sense.
Who is that, Paul? Is it anybody other than Jennings and White?
I don't know.
That's why they don't really have it. I agree with the point Paul's trying to make, but I think O'Shawn Mathis, that might be the guy.
I'd rather have him play.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know about those guys. I know exactly what Ngakoue is on the back 3. Forget the back 9. He's on the back 3, and if you were
you can smell the beer in the clubhouse already.
They're 2-7. Okay, if they were 4-5, I'd say, hey.
Yeah.
He might be. You get a veteran pass rusher might be able to make a play for you to allow you to hold on in the fourth quarter of a game, and maybe that's the difference between making the playoffs or not. Totally get it. At 2-7, I'd rather see guys that I don't know anything about.
Yeah.
Taki, can he play every down?
I think Taki's a good one.
Is Mapu a real candidate to play linebacker instead of safety? I don't know. And these are the kinds of guys that are in sub packages. That's why I'm bringing up those names. Because that's when Ngakoue is going to play. He's going to play in sub packages.
That's what's interesting.
Great player, by the way. I don't want people telling me Paul doesn't think Ngakoue is any good.
Well,
great pass rusher 5 years ago.
Yeah, just look at his stats there. I mean, they're going down. It's an interesting point you brought up, though, Paul. I wonder if Duggar and Peppers and those guys hadn't been hurt, but Bentley had been, if we might have saw Mapu more at linebacker. If that might have opened up the opportunity where they're like, look, we got our full contingent of safeties.
Yeah.
Let's put him into the box next to Tavai and let him just play there full time. I just think because of the injuries now in the safety group that they've been stretched
but
in.
Like
they don't
you
really
said,
have that option.
when I saw the move that they claimed him, I said, that's kind of odd, a veteran being claimed off of waivers. But, no, I had no problem. I had no, would you say, not moved.
I want to hear from him on, I don't know if we'll hear from him Monday or Wednesday or whatever. But this week, I'm just curious what his headspace is. I wonder if this is the guy who said, I'm going to a young team now and I need to, my role has suddenly changed. I'm not like the veteran contributor to a team trying to make a playoff run. I'm now kind of a mentor to a team, which I don't know if that's a role, if he's willing to embrace that.
I guess we're going to find out. And at the first, you'd say, veteran presence. Maybe he comes in, helps out in the locker room or anything like that. I think Paul's point that he's bounced around to a lot of different teams. I wonder if this is the kind of guy that's actually a positive presence in the locker room because he's played for a lot of different teams.
Yeah, he has.
Yeah, he's probably not. He's also been tough to sign.
Sam in Halifax in the UK writes, hi, everyone. I think today we'll have a big game on the ground given the Bears' run defense. Could Layden Robinson's supposed talent in the run game be part of the reason for trying to make sure he and Owenu are at the guard spots, expecting a lot of yards on the ground for both teams, hoping for a win today? That's Sam from Halifax. A little positive vibe there coming from Sam.
Yeah, but Bears are They are 30th in rushing defense. Patriots are 31st. So, or sorry, 26th. So you might not see that difference on the field, but I mean, it's there for the taking.
Might be a Papa Bear Palace special then,
right?
huh?
Well, each week we look at here's where the Patriots could take advantage of this opponent, and it's hard when you can't really get out of your own way and consistently perform. So as much as you want to target weaknesses on the other team, like you have to execute your own stuff first.
John in South Carolina writes, good morning. There are many fingers pointing at the coaching. Could it be as simple as we don't have the talent we need and we have to accumulate more talent before we see real improvements? John writes a very lengthy email about that. I'm going to stop it after the one paragraph and say yes. I don't know about the finger pointing. I'm not saying that that's not happening. They don't have the talent. They need to accumulate more talent. They also need to see if they have any talent with the assets that they used to draft, as has been much discussed here, the young players on the offensive line that they drafted and the young wide receivers. And with, how's my math here, 8 games to go, that's what the next 8 games need to be.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to get more talent in the last 8 games. So,
Correct.
you have to show, I mean, I think everybody who's watched sports knows that there's certain teams that they get whacked with injuries. They don't have the most talented guys, but they don't beat themselves. They play hard, and they're a pain in the ass to play. I mean, they go in any sport. There's teams like that. I haven't seen the Patriots be that kind of team yet, and that's what I want to see. I'm not expecting them to suddenly find talent or, superstars to emerge over the last 8 games, but I am hoping that we see a team emerge that is hard to play against and that doesn't beat themselves and starts to eliminate some of the bad football that they've consistently displayed over the first, however many games it's been this season. So that for me is the bottom line. I need to feel like they're starting to cook something here. And, right now you haven't seen it yet. You haven't seen it.
The phrase that pays, Mike, and this is what I would say, I didn't say it as articulate as you did at the beginning of the year. I want a team that's a pain in the ass to play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's,
So,
just as you came out of the game and you said, boy, that was hard. They're going in the right direction.
I also want them by the end of the year to know what they have out of all their young talent. So, like, the guys that are on this team that you drafted or acquired, whatever it is, I hope by the end of the season you know what you have out of them and you're not still questioning, like, I don't know what Javon Baker brings to the table. Like, by the end of the season, I want you to know that because you've been playing them, because you don't have any choice but to play them. I hope by the end of the season you know what you have, so then it helps you better understand what you need.
Is that realistic over the last 8 games for that to happen? Is that asking too much?
With some of the guys, it might be. I mean, with Wallace, it might be. I don't know when he's
True.
going to get back in and how much time he's going to have.
But the guys that are playing,
But I
you
would
should-
say Robinson, can we stop getting pulled? You get start a game, play the whole game, finish it.
And we talked about the receivers, and you guys had the inactives come out when I was doing my chin wag. Like KJ Osborne, I just don't really understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, forget about Polk and Baker. If you need another guy, why would it be Thornton? There's a 0% chance that Osborne's on the Patriots next year, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would think, yeah.
Now, there's probably a less than 5% chance that Thornton is, but he is under contract. So why wouldn't you bring him, get him out there?
Yeah.
Have they seen enough for Thornton to know that?
Probably,
And
and
they're reinforcing it
if
by
you
not
haven't seen
playing him.
enough of Osborne, I don't know what you need.
Yeah.
It is very interesting that he is constantly brought up in press conferences, like Osborne is. Like, he's constantly asked, like, what more does Osborne have to do to get on the field? Or what about Osborne? It's weird. He's
he's had a better career than any of the Patriots receivers except for Bourne. Bourne's the only one who's probably had. That's probably
Might be
comparable,
close, right?
But I just mean for this team, going forward, KJ Osborne doesn't fit. I actually am surprised they didn't just let him go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And let him, if no one wanted him at the trade deadline, then just let him go and let him do the Yannick Ngakoue.
Yeah,
and
there's some
get
teams
claimed
out there,
by somebody.
Right. Tampa Bay, you'd think would
Somebody,
be potentially
I would think
spot.
would have done it.
I mean,
Yeah.
6 receivers, right? Like, how are all those guys? Do you need all those guys today?
So,
in a game where you want to run the football, you'd think.
Yeah, I just don't think they can run the football.
No. Well, I think you might want to try. Chad from Los Angeles.
See, they got all mad at Alex Van Pelt last week for doing that, right? They threw the ball. They ran the ball 12 times and threw it 53, but somehow they didn't throw it enough last week. And in most of those runs, in fairness to the people that were critical of Alex Van Pelt, were early. Like, they had, I think, 9 first down runs in the game, 21 first down passes. I think the first 4 first downs of the game they ran, and only one of them was a good run. The first run of the game was 5 yards. After that, it was 1, none, 1, none. Like, it was nothing. But they didn't just keep banging their head against the wall after that. They threw it every play after that. I think people, look at the scrambles and they don't realize all 8 of those are pass plays that were called. Right. The 4 sacks, those are pass plays. They threw the ball 53 times last week because you have to. Yep. If you want to move the ball, that's the only way they're going to be able to do it.
Yep. About 1 hour before kickoff, when the Patriots are in Chicago to take on the Bears, Chad from Los Angeles joins us next. Good afternoon, Chad. You're next on the Patriots Pregame Social, fueled by Duncan. Hi, Chad. It's morning in L.A.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I wanted to go back to when Deuce was talking about winning. I had something to say about that. Yeah. I think more than any other game, I would really like to see a win here. And the reason is because not for Kraft or not for the fans or not for the rest of the team, but really for Drake. He's, going up against a competitor. I'm sure this would be a really feel-good victory for him, and I think I would really like him to see or experience that and really kind of settle into being a Patriot. And I just kind of wanted to ask what you may think about that.
I think it's a really good point, Chad. I mean, for all of his, he seems that everybody seems to think, Paul used the word in the post-game show last week, he's got it. He's demonstrated some ability. There's a feeling that this is the guy that you can build around. Let's see what he can do, like when he says, hey, we put it all together this week. Maybe it wasn't perfect, but they did get a win. And I think that's important for his psyche going forward.
Yeah.
And we're going in the right direction.
I hear what Chad's saying. And it goes back to what I said at the top. I just, fair or not, this game will be reflected back to us afterwards as, well, here's what the Bears did with the first overall pick, and this is where they're at, and here's where the Patriots are at.
Am I the only one that really doesn't care at all about that?
Oh, I don't really care
about Drake May.
No, and I'm with you. I'm just saying that this is, I'd prefer to see, like you said, a win that
yeah, I agree with Chad. I agree with Chad. I think, it's great and all that Drake May has run around, made plays. We think, I think he has it. Like, that's all great. At some point, you got to win a game.
No question.
Now, listen, it's only 3. He started 4 times, and he didn't get to finish the other one. So there's, a lot more games. It's not like he's 3-21 as a starter, and it's like, wow, this is a disaster. But I do think it's important for him to win. I don't think it's any more important for him to win this game, like against Caleb Williams. And I know a lot of people. You're right, Mike. I've taught you well.
I know what's coming.
Yes.
They gave him a Dunze, and they gave him Keenan Allen, and they lit up the Patriots defense, and that's what happens when you give them weapons.
Who would you rather have? Imagine if Drake had those weapons.
Right. It's coming.
The predetermined narrative is you nailed it. It's absolutely, if the Patriots win this game, it's absolutely going to be all about they Danny Ainge'd it. They got the guy they wanted with the third pick instead of the first pick. Which is
either way, it's BS.
Which is completely irrelevant. I only care about Drake May. Is Drake May any good? If he's good and Caleb Williams is good, great.
Yeah.
I don't really care about Caleb. I mean, I like Caleb Williams as a player, like from afar, from an NFL, but I'm a Patriots guy, and I only care about the Patriots quarterback.
Yeah.
If that's what I'm looking at here, and I think they do need to have some success for him soon.
Yeah. All right, so if you're a Drake May guy, Paul, your guy from Boston Cream writes...
Oh, the donut.
What would Drake May have to do as a Patriot to surpass Drew Bledsoe in being the second best Patriots quarterback ever? I'm asking Paul to put his bias aside.
Win a Super Bowl.
Well, win. Yeah. Win.
A Super Bowl.
Be a perennial playoff team and, perform well when the game's on the line, come from behind, and win. That's all.
It's hard, though, because Drew,
and win a Super Bowl, I think, is fair. Drew got him to a Super Bowl.
Drew got him to a Super Bowl and couldn't win it.
Right. But there's also just something special about Drew that took the franchise from, I guess you are kind of at the bottom right now, but it doesn't feel like it because you're just coming off recent success, whereas, it felt like Drew was like this savior that you've been waiting forever for. We've had a couple bad years for sure, but I don't think it's quite as bleak as it was. Maybe some would argue otherwise, but...
Well, the difference, I'll tell you, this is every bit as bleak as it was individually in 92, like when Drew got here in 93. The difference is, in 93, it was another year of 40 years of bleakness. This is coming off of the greatest stretch of dominance in NFL history for 20 years.
Yeah.
So it doesn't seem like that. Like, to me, mentally, oh, here we go again. You know, Dick McPherson. No. Here comes, Bill Parcells gave you some excitement, like maybe we can be a real NFL franchise, but we didn't know for sure.
Yeah.
You didn't know, as much as I love Drew, you didn't know for sure he was going to be the guy. But they were able to make them better, and eventually they got to the Super Bowl in 4 years. Since then, you've been great, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you've basically been a contender every year since then until now.
Yeah, I don't like having to measure bleakness, Mike. But I think if you look up and down the roster.
No, and I've found myself kind of going back to look at those rosters from the early 90s. Just
Don't talk to Zoe about it, because you won't feel good about the answers.
No, but the interesting thing, though, just when you go back and look at some of the stats, because, I forget what it was, 90, I think, was 1 win, or was it 2 wins and then 1 win in 92, I think.
I think 90 was 1-15. 91 was 6-10.
Yeah.
92 was 2-14.
But, you see, like, oh, here's Ben Coates popping up. Or, you start to see some of the guys that started to form the foundation once Bledsoe got in, and then then you see the guys start to emerge. Sean Jefferson, I think, was one. I don't know. I'm forgetting exactly, but
Sean Jefferson, no, but
he was a 96. Free agent, right? Yeah.
Right. Paul, here's one for you. Would Michael Timpson be the number 1 receiver on the Patriots today?
Absolutely. Well, he was the number 1 receiver on those teams. So
that's an.
They're back, baby.
Yeah.
The white and grays.
It's too much to ask.
White and silver. Sorry.
Tony
Silver?
Flanagan, who's probably doing a
Dirty
terrific
again.
job shooting this, to tell the people who are in front of his camera to get the F out of the way so we can see Drake May.
It's not too much to ask him to wear uniforms that match. So.
Yeah, it's another white and silver day.
I like them.
It's a big uniform day, Mike.
I like them. I don't like the white shirts with the blue pants. I like these better. I'm team. Is it silver? I can't say gray, right? You're not supposed to say gray.
Why are you not supposed to say
I
gray?
don't know. It's supposed to be silver. Silver is the better one.
Okay, silver.
Sorry.
All right.
I don't know. I might be making that
I just
up.
want to conform, Mike.
Is it start number 5, Paul?
Oh, boy.
I believe so. Yeah.
For
These
Drake
are
May, as you're
two
looking at
really
him
bad teams playing.
Another interception there.
Bouncing off of a guy's stomach into another guy. Oh, God.
That does sound like the
Red Zone Paul, and I'm trying to watch Drake May in warm-ups, but I digress.
Yeah, it does.
This is start number 5.
Nothing says excitement
Drake,
like warm-ups.
Yeah, it says the wind is pretty interesting there today. So
Courtney
she
nailed the weather report. I thought that was good.
Yeah, people continue to confirm that. Joey Sly missing one of his kicks there. So, yeah, it's just something to think about. I know the wind was a topic of controversy last week, so hopefully we can avoid that this week.
Yeah, and I hope that there's, just hope that the coach has somebody who is, that's their job.
The wind guy. He puts his finger in his mouth.
I'm not trying to be
holds
funny.
it in the air.
But that'd be nice to know that person has been assigned that role, right?
How do you guys do it when you golf? Do you pick the grass up and you throw it? Is that what you guys do? Yeah.
That is what you do.
I'm just joking.
Like, it's not that hard. It's really not a hard thing to do. You don't need a guy to do it.
You don't do the finger in the mouth thing?
You know what you need? Consciousness. To know which direction the wind is blowing in.
Just partial consciousness.
Let's see. Brendan in Edmonton, iced coffee season, he says, writing in, if you had to put money on it, what year is it the Patriots make the playoffs again? He also has taken a shot at Tamara. Everyone knows iced coffee season is over after October.
Oh. Hey.
In the nicest way, please get with the schedule. Wow. Oh, wow. I know people who drink iced coffee. It's
been like
12 months out of the year.
Year round.
I'm glad I did it right, though.
I'm not a coffee drinker, but I absolutely would agree with Matt that I know a lot of people that drink iced coffee 12 months a year.
Not in Germany. Not in
All right,
Germany.
So does anybody want to take
they don't believe in ice in Germany.
No
It's
ice.
hard to have iced coffee when there's
Edmonton,
no ice.
where there might be ice more often than not. So what year do the Patriots make the playoffs, Mike?
I mean,
if you have to make a pick.
26.
Yeah, I would say that the earliest, that was the question, right?
Yeah.
26. I don't see it next year, but you have a good draft.
Stranger things have happened, but
you have a good draft and a good free agent class. You could be.
I mean, ask me again. Last pregame show we do, week 19 or whatever it is this year. That to me will be the true test. And I just feel like so much of the season preview we talked about was how do they finish? How do they finish? I don't think anyone was overly, concerned with the starts, and they knew there would be ups and downs. You didn't know exactly what they would have looked like, but this is it. This is the last 8 games. This is, it used to be the second half of the season, but this is when you need to start to show something. And I mean, I think the last couple of years we've always been under that, kind of illusion of, we play our best football after November, after Thanksgiving. That's when we, and it hasn't happened the last couple of years. So, we'll see if it starts to happen with this team. You heard this week from Gerard talking about things I would do different. I'm making notes of mistakes that I've made, and some accountability from him. And but at a certain point, you've been putting so much time and work into it. It's time to start to see some results, and it doesn't necessarily need to translate into wins. We'll know when we see it if they're turning into a team that like you said, is a pain in the ass to play against.
So you said it, by the way. Don't give me the credit for that.
So I want to get into that a little bit. Like, I get the mistakes. Like, they made some mistakes. They made it harder for themselves at times with the penalties and whatnot. But like, they play pretty hard, don't you think? Did they try?
I haven't
really seen a lot of teams around the league that look like they don't try.
No.
So like, the whole like, we want to be a pain to play against. Like, a pain to play against. Like, you're capable of beating teams, and I don't think that they are. And I don't think that's a realistic expectation, that they're going to have enough talent to beat you, unless the other team helps you. But I expect them to play hard.
And Tennessee ran the ball 3 times into the line last week, where one pass puts a game out of reach, and New England doesn't have a chance to get into overtime.
But that's 2 terrible teams.
That's my point. Like, that's why they're in the game.
But I think the whole thing about being a tough team to play against is like, when you play Buffalo, make them earn it, right? That's Buffalo's got more talent than you, but don't let them go into that game and think, well, this one's a walkover, but it's going to be if Buffalo plays anywhere near its capability. Like, I think the whole tough, Gerard talks about it all the time. Gerard says it all the time. We want to be tough to play against.
I think that's something that they should be shooting for in the last 8 games.
Who's easy to play against?
I think the Patriots are. I
really?
think they're an easy team to play against. I mean, that's what she already kind of.
I just don't think they're very good. I mean, I don't think that they.
You can run on them. You can throw on them.
Yeah, but is that because they're not trying?
No, they're not very good.
I mean, I'm not trying to imply.
So how do you fix that? That's what I'm saying.
I'm just saying, when we come into these post-game shows, we have a laundry list of dumb stuff that they did on the field.
And that's why I started with that. Like, I understand the penalties that they did.
So for me, being tough is just, they don't make stupid mistakes. Right. They don't, on 3rd and 5, they don't get a false start. Like those are the things. I think that they're playing hard, but I just think a team that has a little juice to them when you see them, and however you want to characterize it. We all played sports. I always remember teams that, like, man, these guys suck, but I hate playing them. Like those kind of teams exist. I don't know. I just think that they make key mistakes and key times, and those are the things.
You're selling me a little bit.
I know you're getting away from everybody tries hard, and it's the NFL, and everybody has a certain level, but. Yeah, I'll know when I see it.
I think everybody does. I mean, I think there's individual games like that you're not as up for. We talked about the Chicago situation with the Hail Mary, and they clearly went to Arizona last week thinking about the Hail Mary. Like, it happens. Maybe they pack it in. They want their coach out, and they pack it in. But like, I think for the most part, in that league, teams play hard.
Well, let me ask you this, Paul. Like, in 93 and 94, did you feel like those teams towards the end of the season shifted, or were they just kind of playing the same way, and then the games just kind of started to fall in their favor? Or did you notice like a real
they got
shift
hot.
in the team?
They got hot
and
in
they
both
improved.
cases. But I mean, like the 93 team, I mean, as the quarterback started getting a little bit better, and they started playing better, and they had a lot of young guys that started getting better together. But I don't think that they were necessarily. I mean, this is my point. Like, when you start winning games, obviously you're harder to play against because you can win. Like, I think that we're hoping for something I don't think is realistic. That all of a sudden they're going to rattle off like 5 or 6 wins in a row.
No.
Like the 94 Patriots did, 7 in a row.
Let's get one. Let's start with one. One quick thing one more uniform discussion before we get to over-unders.
Nice.
Am I wrong in saying it looks like they might have left? They didn't pack either the right top or the right bottom. and so they had to sort of like cobble together.
I like
this
it, man.
uniform
You keep trying to
combination.
get me on this, but I
doesn't
kind
it
of
look
like the
like
look. I don't
like they
know.
forgot one of the other, and so
Listen.
they had to cobble together?
I have terrible style, but I don't know. I like
By
it.
no means am I Ralph Lauren. All right, I am not a fashionista. Those don't match.
Yes. Yeah,
and
that's-
you can talk to me until I'm blue in the face. Those uniforms don't match.
Yeah. Yep, I'm with you on that. Okay, Matt, let's do some over-unders, please.
It's time for this week's edition of Over-Unders.
The Patriots pregame show is brought to you by DraftKings. Stay tuned because you'll hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. And let's go to Johnny Stats, Paul Perillo, who's going to give us the season statistics and standings to date.
That was Paulie stats.
Big week for No Sox last week, 5-1. Followed by Paul at 4-2 and Mike at 3-3. So, season standings: Paul leads the way, 35-19. Matt 32-22. Mike 28-26.
Suckling hind teat.
Okay, and so let's kick things off with a Drake May number. Drake May passing yards, 204.5. Paul.
So I'm going to take the over because I just have to think that he can't run around crazy every week. He's got to throw some passes.
Yeah.
I'm
Was
gonna take
this
the
a
over.
trend, Paul? Are we trending on this one?
No, I think it would have been under. I think he threw for 204 last week.
I'm not
Something
gonna-
like that.
I can't do it this week. I'm going over.
So I guess just to be different, I'm going to go under, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, but maybe there's going to be a respectable ground game to their offense today, and we see some of that, and it keeps the passing yards for Drake May down. One can hope. Conversely, Caleb Williams' passing yards is 213.5. Michael.
That's a tough one. Yeah, I think I'm going to go under. Yeah.
I'll take the over on that.
I'm going to go over as well. Ramondre Stevenson, longest rushed, 13.5.
It's pretty far. Who wants it?
I'm going to go over on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll take the over
Yeah,
too.
sure.
I mean, that's a pretty short run. I know last week he would not have reached that number, but that's just
In 13 carries, he wouldn't have reached it.
so I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take the over too. Hopefully.
Okay. DJ Moore receiving yards at 47.5. Now, one would have to say, if we're going over on Caleb Williams and 213, that wouldn't you factor is this guy your number one receiver?
He's kind of disgruntled for some reason though.
Right.
So I don't know. He's got a little attitude. Ball doesn't come to him
That's
early.
why
He's
you're the smart
getting
one.
frustrated. He's going to get a hot dog again on the sidelines. I don't know. You tell me. Should I go first?
Sure.
I went under on Caleb, so I'm going to go under on DJ Moore.
Paul?
I'll take the over.
I'm going to go over as well on DJ Moore.
But you could have given me any of their receivers and I would have gone over.
Okay. Interceptions by the Patriots defense at a half. So that's, what is that, a tipped ball?
I mean,
one interception.
I know. I'm
Anyway,
kidding.
any way you can get it. Hasn't been the Patriots' strength this year. I'm going to go. I got to follow the trends with Paul. I'm going under.
I will take the over.
Caleb going to give you one?
Yeah, he'll throw a pick.
Okay. I just don't know who's going to catch it, so I'm going to go under on the interceptions, which last but not least is the total score of 38.5. Looks like a nice day. Courtney Cronin had it as a nice day, 58 degrees. A little breezy. The wind might be picking up lakeside as the game goes on. I'll lead us off and go under on 38.5. I think when the Patriots involved, a tractor pull is close to following.
Yeah, I'm going to go under too. Follow the trends.
Yeah, I just don't see the Patriots being able to score, so under.
But they might run the ball.
Well, when you put it that way.
That makes it even lower.
Right. Thank you to our friends at DraftKings. Stay tuned because you'll hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Responsible for the numbers at that point in time. Let's go back to the phone lines and let's check in first with Eldred from North Carolina. Good afternoon, Eldred. You're next in the Patriots pregame social, fueled by Duncan.
Hey, Tamara. Hey, Mike, Paul, Matt. How y'all doing?
Great. How are you, sir?
Big E.
All right.
Hey.
Just looking for a good game. That's all. Because it's always the talent level. And I don't care how hard they play or whatever, it's the talent level. Some of them have to do with coaching from the other side, but I'm just, like I said, this year is really the rebuild. So I'm just looking for a good competitive game. and maybe next year they work on the line and a good receiver, and that's all I can go for. Can't hope for nothing else. But I'm still on my prediction, Paul. Like I told y'all years ago when Brady left, 5-10 for the NFL team gets back prominent again to the playoffs. And right now it's year 5. So I'm looking about 4 more years. Maybe we might be productive enough to get into the playoffs. And I'll take it from there. Y'all have a good one.
Eldred,
Bye.
thank you very much.
Big E.
Thanks,
who brings up a good point, and I was going to ask you about this. To date, after 9 games, do you guys think that the fandom has been patient and realistic with the product that they're watching so far this year?
Some have. I mean, that's
well, you guys, you deal with it every Tuesday, you deal with it every Wednesday, you deal with it every Thursday.
Yeah.
How has the patience been from Patriot fans?
I don't know. I think
I agree with Mike.
Yeah, I mean, I think
some
some
have
people,
been patient,
Yeah.
some haven't.
That's. I mean, I just kind of.
Is that just the nature of the beast, Paul?
I mean, I think there's a lot of people that want Mayo gone. And then there's a lot of people like, it's year 1 of a rebuild, even though it's been year 5 of them being really relevant.
Yeah.
Do you want to put a percentage on that? Or are you able to put a percentage on that?
What do you think, Mike?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's hard because certain people listen to our shows, and like you get a certain angle of people that are maybe a little bit more on the angst. But
I mean, every week in the mailbag, there's at least 3 or 4 that don't have any faith in Elliott Wolf and Gerard Mayo, and they know they have all this cap space, and they don't think they know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Right?
I'd probably give the edge to those people. Like, I think it's a slight.
There's more
edge,
angry,
more angry.
It's the
people
angry,
than patient
louder.
people.
Yeah.
The louder.
But they're louder too,
Yeah.
so it's hard to know. But I just say I think everybody follows it their own way. And you want to be pissed and hate, great. You want to be patient, great. Like that's what's fun about it. You can choose how you want to follow the team and choose what makes you upset or not.
Kevin from San Francisco is next. You're listening and watching to the Patriots pregame show fueled by Duncan. Good afternoon or good morning in your case from San Francisco. Kevin, how are you?
That's right. It is good morning. About 30 minutes away from heading to my local bar and watching the Pats and stuff for another week.
Love it.
But,
what's
anyway,
your beverage of choice, Kevin? Do you crack one at 10 a.m.?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
When you walk into a bar, you're expected to drink.
There it is.
Otherwise, you're expected to leave.
Okay, there you go.
Wow.
Asked and answered.
Angry.
Exactly. So just a comment on a couple callers ago, they were asking about when we were going to make the playoffs next. I think you guys all said 2026.
Well, he said when's the fastest?
I think the question was next. If you had to put money on it, let me.
then I'll push it
back. Let me call it back up here. If you had to put money on it, hold please.
Then I'm going to push it back.
What year is it that the Patriots make the playoffs again? If you had to put money on it.
Ooh.
Yeah. If I had to put money on it, I'd probably say 2028. I'd probably say the earliest is 2027. And my reasoning is, and I'm not one of those guys that thinks that they should just pull the ripcord on Mayo. But I think he's going to get another year with whatever consortium of offensive coordinators he has. I think it's going to be a failure again next year. He'll be fired. They'll bring in a new GM, new coaching staff, and then it's going to take them a year at least to kind of get settled and get their program going, as they would say. So I'd say 2027 is the earliest, but more likely after that.
That's a sobering.
And one last comment before you let me go. Paul, I don't know what 98.5 is paying you, but it's not clearly enough to have to sit with those 2 jackals every Wednesday. Good luck with that.
Absolutely right on that, Kevin.
Absolutely
right.
Thank you for the phone call.
That's the truth and nothing but the truth. Bridgestone is the official tire of the New England Patriots, and they're proud to partner with Sullivan Tire, New England's headquarters for quality Bridgestone tires. Visit sullivantire.com to find a location near you. It's Sunday six-pack time, please, Matt.
This is the Sunday six-pack, so kick back and listen to my position. I'm itching to get the picks back. You better bring a big stack. Go get it mixed, Jack. I came to win it, yeah, this is the Sunday six-pack.
Oh,
All right, Johnny Stats. The standings aren't pretty.
No,
certainly from where
terrible
I sit.
week for everybody. 2-4 last week. Mike, 25 and 27. Paul and Matt, 23-29. 2 losses, everybody. 25, 27 and 2. 23, 29 and 2.
I actually am rooting for me to do poorly. Here's
why.
why. Because if I did well, the fact that I can't gamble would bother me, and I'd say, "Geez, I have the secret sauce, and I can't get to it."
That's great, man. I'm going to use that for my picks on PU.
Yeah, so I'm going to say no. Well, I stink at it, and I can't make any money off of it, so that's why. Part and parcel. All right. 1 o'clock, the first one leading off, are the 7-2 Buffalo Bills at the Indianapolis Colts, who are 4-5. The Bills are a 4-point favorite, Paul.
Let's see. I will take the Colts to cover. Maybe a little backdoor cover even, but Bills by a field goal, so I'll take the Colts.
Michael?
Oh, Paul loves Flacco. I'm going to take Buffalo on this one. I'll lay the points.
Same here. I think that, I think Buffalo needs to continue to try to prove that they may be the class of the AFC. Also at 1 o'clock, the 5-4 Denver Broncos are at the undefeated Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are nearly 8-point favorites. They're 7.5-point pick against the Broncos. Michael?
It's a big spread, division game, but I can't pick against Kansas City. I'll take them. I'll lay the points.
I said last week when the Broncos were taking on Baltimore, I said that was too big of a number, and Baltimore larruped Denver. I don't see why Kansas City won't do the same. And at 9-0, has the undefeated season talk already started for the Chiefs?
It should. They got a manageable schedule. They could do it.
Yeah. Paul?
So you're taking the Chiefs?
I'm taking the Chiefs, yes, sir.
Yeah, I will take Denver. Kansas City hasn't covered really all year, so I don't expect them to do it in that game.
That's a trend that I sort of see. That's spoken like a real gambler right there. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, I cost myself a game last week by not. I could swear I took Tampa Bay, but I wrote it down Kansas City. So, I didn't think they would cover last week either, and they didn't. They just haven't been able to cover these two-score spreads.
Okay. At the other 1 o'clock game that we're going to discuss, the 4-4 San Francisco 49ers are at the 4-5 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where Tampa is a home dog. San Francisco, and getting back Christian McCaffrey, are 6.5-point favorites. Mike?
Yeah, that's a big spread. I mean, Baker hanging in there despite the injuries. Gets McCaffrey coming back. I'm a little torn on this one, but I'll take the 49ers. Lay the points.
Paul?
I am going to take the points. I'll take Tampa to keep it close, maybe even to win outright.
I like Tampa in this game again. I saw some crazy number today about they've scored 30 or more points in the last 3 or 4 games, and their record certainly doesn't show it. So they're scoring points. I know San Francisco's defense allegedly is a little bit better, but I think this is a big game for Tampa Bay. It's a big game for both teams, as a matter of fact. In the 4 o'clock window, the 3-6 New Jersey Jets go to Arizona, where they take on the surprising 5-4 Cardinals, and yet the Cardinals are home dogs. The Jets are a 1.5 favorite in this game, Paul.
Yeah, I'm going to take Arizona. I just don't trust the Jets. Jets are better, but I don't trust them. I'll take the Cardinals.
Michael?
Keep their little winning streak going.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Cardinals at home. Kyler Murray running around like crazy.
Played well.
Yeah.
So this is a difference maker in the phony baloney standings here, and I'm going to buck the trend and go with the favored New Jersey Jets in this one. How about that? On Monday Night Football, the 2-6 Miami Dolphins, with their season on the line, and they've been saying that for weeks, go to Los Angeles to take on next week's opponent for the Patriots, the 4-4 LA Rams. The Rams are only a 1.5 favorite, and there's whispers that Tyreek Hill might not play on Monday night.
That's a tough one. Matthew Stafford has still got some magic. I'm going to take the Rams at home.
Ditto.
Yeah, I like the Rams in this game. High-scoring game, though, this is going to be. I like the Rams like 30-27, something like that.
It's an interesting one, Paul. And last but certainly not least, as we wind things up, at 1 o'clock this afternoon in Chicago at Soldiers Field, the 4-4 Chicago Bears are 6-point favorites against the 2-7 New England Patriots. Deuce, we'll start with you.
Yeah, that's a big spread. I feel like the Patriots could make it close, but I'm just not feeling super confident right now. I'm going to go with the Bears at home. I got a score of 20-10.
Laying the 6, Paul.
Yeah, me too. I see the Bears winning the game. Something like 23-13 in that neighborhood. Yeah.
Well, to help balance things out, once again, I think the numbers are a little large here, and I think the Patriots are going to sell out. Dare I say, gulp, that not only do they cover, but do they win? That they win outright. I guess we shall see. But I'm going to head that direction, at least for right now. check me again in about 20 minutes, and I'll see if I change my mind at 12:35.
I need to correct something. It's actually Chicago -6, not New England.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I just assumed.
Yeah,
We knew that.
Yeah, we figured.
You
that.
knew I was.
We didn't
stupid.
even
Thank you.
blink.
Yeah, no. Don't worry about that. I do think. I mean, boy, that's. I think that's a fairly telling number given the state of both teams, where the Bears are, had playoff aspirations, maybe still do have playoff aspirations, and haven't played well and still are 6-point favorite against the Patriots.
They're 4-4.
No, I know.
They're a lot better.
4-0 at home. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what's going to happen today because, as one of my good friends, Mike Felger, likes to tell me, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. But I can tell you what's happened so far, and so far the Bears have been much better than the Patriots.
Yep.
And they deserve to be 6-point favorites.
Yeah. But,
It's like when Jacksonville, Jacksonville ended up being like 4.5, 5.5 point favorites, whatever, and it was like, what? What? It's just like, if you watch, there's really not that much, there's not a lot of mystery.
Well, Paul, you opened the door with under a few minutes left to go here in the Patriots pregame social fueled by Duncan, and that is that Jacksonville, they're home against Minnesota, right?
Yes.
I have no
Sorry.
idea.
I wasn't sure if that was.
And the
yes, but
starting
yes.
quarterback for the Jugs?
Mac Horkel Jones.
This will be some Patriot hate-watching fans going on for the Jacksonville-Minnesota game, won't you think, Paul?
Oh, Lordy.
Patriots hate watching fans?
Well, they're gonna root for
don't
Mac Jones to play poorly. They're probably gonna root for him to get injured. They don't like Mac.
All I get is like, well, Mac Jones was Bill ruined him.
Yeah.
That's all I ever hear. Is Bill ruined him by giving him Matt Patricia as his offensive coordinator.
I hear different things.
I'm not going to hate watch
I
it.
don't. I
just
do hear that.
He stinks.
I'm just generally curious to watch it, like just to see how he looks, because I don't know. It was such a weird journey with him. Like I thought he looked pretty good out of the gate when he was a rookie and looked pretty comfortable out there, and I felt encouraged by him. And how do you get to the point, and a lot of reasons, which Paul touched on a little bit, to the point where last year it was just completely wheels fell off, non-functional, same mistakes, turnovers. We have this discussion all the time about can you break quarterbacks. So I'm just curious. Does he look kind of functional? Does he look kind of calm in the pocket again, or not? Like that to me is like my interest in the game. Not like rooting for him to do badly. Just more interested in the storylines that we talk about of quarterbacks getting ruined, or Mac had some potential, and some people still think he has that potential too. So I just think it's a fascinating part of his development and where he's at as a player.
Yeah, free football in Munich, by the way. Breaking news: free football for the fans in Munich. Ooh. They get to see these 2-2-7 teams play another stanza.
Not enough.
Yeah,
I think if Lawrence is really out for the year, then I give him maybe 2 starts, and then C.J. Beathard will take his place.
Whew. Wow,
now that would be really interesting to me.
Yeah, and so the one that I've never seemed to understand,
maybe
Paul,
3, maybe 3,
and I know you have a definitive opinion on this. After however you think the rookie season went, and I think I'm more with Deuce than you. I know you dismiss his rookie season pretty much out of hand. How did he go from the rookie season?
I didn't dismiss it out of hand. He played better as a rookie than he did the other 2 years.
How do you go from what he did in his rookie year to July of the next year, where the head coach of the team was singing his praises and talking about he's done everything we've asked him to do, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and he fell so far so fast from that point on?
Yeah, I think
that's the line of demarcation for me.
Like, to me, this is where I will say that I am different than most. I don't think he fell that far in year 2 from what he did the last half of his first year.
Right. And you've been very consistent with that.
I had people telling me that he was the least of your problems in a 47-17 loss in the playoffs in Buffalo when he threw an interception in the first drive of the game. Because, Mike, and you'll remember this, because I know you do, it was the greatest interception in the history of interceptions by either Poyer or Hyde, who I always get confused.
They're coming over to the corner of the end zone.
Yeah, because why? Because it was underthrown late into the inside, because that's Mac Jones. Yeah. So it allows it to be picked off, and suddenly, somehow, all of these other people who just wanted so badly for Mac Jones to be the answer were telling me how great the play was by the defensive back, and not talking at all about the fact that the other team didn't let you score in the first half. But yet, he was the least of your problems that night. Remember, Mike? Mm-hmm. Remember, like, the calls that we got, the media? Like, I never saw what everybody else saw that rookie year. In the last half of that year, he was useless. Absolutely useless. They couldn't move the ball and they couldn't score, much like it is now. That started the second half of 21, continued in 22, continued in 23, and is now still here with all different guys. They don't, like, this whole thing, they didn't have any guys for Mac Jones to throw to. I agree. They didn't. They didn't have a lot of answers at receiver. They don't now either. And, you know, they have a hard time moving the football. And if they don't fix it, they're going to end up wasting Drake May too. Because they got to get guys that can make some plays. Mike's key at the beginning of this show, at the very, very top of the show.
Help Mac.
Did I win the key?
No, I'm just saying.
I think he should.
Like, it's valid. Like, it's, see, the key, like, I have this antiquated notion that the key to the game is supposed to be what you think the Patriots need to do to win that particular game. And it's not necessarily an existential crisis. Like, I think that they need to put some pressure on Williams today and hope you make some mistakes and maybe gives you some turnovers and you can win the game. That was my, but like the big picture is Mike.
Yeah.
Like they need to find some players. Like I think they have a quarterback. Mike thinks they have a quarterback, but you can't do it all by yourself. I'm a big believer in if you have the quarterback, you have a chance, but you got to give them some help, right?
Yeah.
They have no defense. They have no running game. They have no receivers, no protection, and spotty special teams play. Other than that, everything is great.
Yep.
So Mike's point, I think, his larger point off the top, I think, is probably the key takeaway for 2024. Find help.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's not going to come now.
Yeah.
Like, you got to find help in the future because this isn't good enough.
Right. Well, when you say that, you mean Larry Bird's not walking through that door anymore.
Right.
At least today, Robert Parrish isn't walking through that door anymore. But they need to find out if the Polks, if the Bakers, if the Wallaces, if the Robinsons, can these guys play, or you're going to be spending more draft capital? I mean, clearly, you know, a number one, whatever that receiver kind of looks like, is high on their priority list.
Yeah.
As is a really good left tackle. But do they need more offensive linemen, or do they have parts that can play? And let's get this one fixed, and maybe we can work around that. You know,
Yeah.
Same with the wide receiver position. Do we have a bunch of number 3 wide receivers here with an alpha dog that'll look decent?
Yeah. I mean, nobody's
who
gonna,
are those
right,
people?
and nobody's going to emerge as a number 1 receiver
Not
or
at this
a franchise left tackle, but you could have a tackle emerge that says we think this guy's solid. He can at least be our swing backup next year. You know, right guard. You know, we feel good, like Michael Menu is going to stay there, and we feel really good about Layden Robinson. You know. By the way, we should mention, too, that sounds like
What's the lineup like?
The line's same as it's been with Michael Jordan back at left guard, at least in warm-up. So
Okay.
for all the talk of shuffling going on and Michael Jordan hasn't been good enough, he's out. Like, it seems signs are pointing to he's going to be back in. So, it's more what guys can actually fill roles on this team. What guys are actually going to be solid middle-class members. I think that's more realistic than, expecting anyone to, this is, Jalen Polk's going to be a 100-catch guy next year. That's not going to happen over 8 games, but you can at least feel like, wow, he got over that rookie wall thing, and he showed something near the end and had some good games. That's I think, realistic.
And, Mike, this goes back to the question that I asked earlier. And, again, you're better at it. You've got your finger on the pulse a little bit more because of Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But I think Patriot fans are on board with that kind of thinking. I think the majority of Patriot fans are, let's see who we've got. Let's see if they can develop. I think that they outnumber the angry Patriot fans. But, again, you guys know better than I.
It's kind of the Yelp thing where like only certain people are angry enough, motivated to tell.
And that's what I said. I think it's
know?
generally the people that are angry are louder. Yeah. Like you hear them more. So I don't know what the percentage is, but we hear more from
the people who are like, "Oh, it is what it is." Where
they don't have faith in the regime to do it right.
Yeah. And I think like that's something that I think is new. I think everybody was new coach, new front office, all that kind of stuff that came into play this year, but. I mean, the fact of it is you got 8 games left, and you haven't really seen a lot of fruits of the offseason labor that they put into place. And those things need to happen, not just for the players and for the fans to feel better, for us to have confidence that these guys are, know what they're doing. They're putting players into place that they can build around because, right now it doesn't look great.
And what better way to maybe turn that thing around than today in Chicago, where there isn't a lot of people who are giving you a great shot in order to do it today.
And how would you think an overtime game would end between 2 and 7 teams? Well, of course, a run up the middle on first down and with a fumble.
Oh, geez, they just
Carolina ball at the, I don't know,
my God,
30-yard line, 28-yard line.
Can they kick the field goal right now?
Oh, just punched it right out.
Yeah. Well, that'll do it for the Patriots pregame social, fueled by Duncan, for Paul Perillo, for Mike Dussault,
Guy
for
had a
Tamara
great
Brown,
game, too.
Matt Morrell, Matt Lepian. Patriots and Bears from historic Soldier Field at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. We'll talk to you in the postgame show after the game. Enjoy the game, everyone.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check Patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.